Hey, we're live. I really wish they had a Google Hangout for YouTube where like I could talk to you guys rather than you having to type things because I really wish I could talk to you because I'm so lonely. All I have to keep me company is my bowl of popcorn and my rather large cup of whiskey. But YouTube is an option, so here we are. I would be remiss if I didn't take this time to talk about SHINee's new album because love of my life, joy of my heart, everything that makes me happy and smiling is SHINee. So the new album came out on Monday for me, which is, I guess, Tuesday in Korea. And I woke up that morning, and the first thing I did was jump on YouTube because I knew the video had come out. And I watched the video, and before I could even finish the video, I had to tweet, "Does anyone else hear Cupid by 112?" Which is crazy to me because, like, I don't know, it just seemed like an odd place to hear 112. It's SHINee of all people, but at the same time, I shouldn't really be surprised because SHINee has always taken like R&B cues and done that, and like even on their first album Love's Way was a sample loop from Force MD's Tender Love. So this really shouldn't have been a big surprise, but I don't know, it just took me off guard. So I already had that big surprise, and then I heard the album, and I'm gonna move the camera a little bit because I have to charge it while we're talking because my battery is super low. There we go. Yeah, so listening to the album, and it was amazing to me because the album was like all of the dance styles that I have appreciated growing up in the 90s and the 2000s and even the late 80s. It's really funny because the last video I did on this channel was the anniversary show, and the question that was a part of the bias tag that I did at the end of that video was, if you weren't listening to K-pop, what would you listen to? And I mentioned I would be really heavy into dance music because dance music has been my thing. Like, I've always loved dance music, and it started from really early on. When I was around 7 to 12, in that range, my family actually lived in Germany. We lived in Frankfurt, Germany. And while I lived there, it was during the time that Black Box was really big, CNC Music Factory, Kathy Dennis, a lot of the big 80s dance anthems were popular during that time. And for me, that's the music of my childhood. And as I got older, it kind of transformed from me listening to kind of the mainstream dance pop, like, again, I mentioned Black Box, but there was also Robin S. Show Me Love. There was Hadaway's What Is Love. There was Snap. There was Rhythm is a Dancer. Like, there were all these huge songs. Yes, we're talking music. There were all these huge dance songs when I was a young person, when dance was actually considered mainstream pop music. But then as dance music kind of quit being mainstream pop music and pop music was more replaced by hip hop, R&B, grunge, stuff like that, I still stayed with dance music because it was such a big part of my adolescence that I started listening to UK drum and bass, and I end up transferring into like French dance producers and following Daft Punk, and I don't know, just like I kept going with that stream, even though I grew up in a predominantly African American household, and so R&B was never far from me. I mean, I grew up on Frankie Beverly and Maze, Earth, Wind and Fire, all your disco classics, the Commodores, Lionel Richie, Billy Idol, not Billy Idol, sorry, Billy Ocean. There you go. Like all of these big R&B stars. So R&B, dance, these are my formative sounds. So to hear SHINee have an album that speaks so much to my dance heart, I feel like this album was made for me. So I don't know if you guys have had a chance to listen to the album yet. I hope you have. Last night, I believe, Tarian, Shine Baby Muse, he did a live stream where he did a first listen to the album, and I did a lot of interacting with him on his chat, and we talked about like what different songs remind us of from SHINee's catalog. Definitely, I thought that All Day All Night, along with Shine Baby Muse, we all thought, hey, how's it going? We all thought it sounded a lot like Prism in terms of the styling. Of course, Good Evening is just, it's in a class all of itself. I can't really compare it to anything else in SHINee's catalog. Then we talked about Undercover, which is my favorite song from the new release. I love Undercover. To me, it kind of gives me a very similar vibe to Symptoms, but I called it Symptoms Part 3 because for me, Part 2 for Symptoms is Odd Eye. And then we also talked about You and I being a really nice ballad, not too dreary for a ballad, which is really nice because with the message behind it, I think they didn't want to get too low down, so they almost kept it mid-tempo. Like it wasn't a really slow ballad. And then of course Jump On You, which is fun and a great time, which I said to me sounded a little bit like Feel Good. And then Shine Baby Mew said it reminded him of Shift. But now that I'm thinking about it more, parts of it almost remind me of Rewind on Jonghyun's album. So, I mean, there's a lot of different pulls in SHINee's catalog where you can classify these things. But I think what's so great about having all these comparisons for the album is that it's one of two things. One, it is definitely SHINee kind of staying in a wheelhouse, staying in a mode of music, genre, everything else. But at the same time, it's absolutely an evolution of their style and what they've been doing. Like it's not exactly like any project they've ever done before, but it's not so foreign that you're like, where did this come from? Why would you release this? What is this thing? It's familiar, but yet it's something exciting and something that adds on to SHINee's legacy. So that's really, really awesome. And so I'm very excited about this project, and I'm excited about next week because we get part 2, and then we have another week and we get part 3. And it's just, if it had just been 5 songs alone, I would be over the moon. But it's like, no, it's going to be 15 songs. Like we still have so much more to get through. And it's just, it gives me something to look forward to every single day. And I'm so excited and I can't wait to order them all. I'm waiting for Yes Asia to ship my first episodes because they haven't shipped yet because they were considered pre-orders. I'm waiting for the pre-orders to open to get episode 2. And then once that is available for shipment, I'll be waiting for pre-orders for episode 3. And I don't know if the rest of you have already bought your copies, how you're buying your copies, what method you're using, but lately I haven't really been finding a lot of venues for inexpensive orderings of extra copies. In the past, Catch Up CD was always really reliable for having the cheapest price, even including shipping. But this time, Catch Up CD was actually going to be fairly pricey. Like it wasn't going to be cheap. Like the only way Catch Up CD would have been cheaper for me is if I was ordering 6 or 7 albums at once. It was going to be high. So Asia was offering copies for $18.99 US. Everywhere else, once you factored in shipping, the copies were around $21, $22, $23. So I ended up going with Yes Asia. I'll probably go with them again, depending, because I thought about buying a copy of Pristin V's new album, but I don't know. I saw an unboxing and I was not impressed. But yeah, waiting for my albums to come in. I'm ordering 2 copies of each episode as it comes out, and then when all the episodes get released, I'll be doing a giveaway for the entire set. So be looking forward to that soon. Anybody else want me to read their thoughts about SHINee's comeback? Because I'm willing to do that. I mean, this doesn't have to be a one-way conversation. This is the 2 of us here. Let's just talk about it. Anybody? No? My internet's bad, so you're probably like typing away and I'm just not seeing it because it hasn't come up yet for me. I was on Twitter before I got on YouTube, and they were showing a video of Replay being performed on a music show because, of course, Replay came out May 25th, 2008, and 10-year anniversary. So 5 days later, of course, they're performing it on music shows. And okay, so you have to listen. When you listen to it all, tell me about it, okay? They were showing them performing on music shows, and they were showing little bitty Taemin dancing. And it was so weird to me because you guys know I have a daughter. Taemin at the age he was when Replay came out was literally maybe 8 or 9 months older than my daughter is now. It's insane. It's insane. It's insane to me because he's grown up in this industry. You know, like we've watched him go from being a child to a man. But then if I think about my own child having to deal with all the things that Taman has done, all of the examinations, all of the questions about his sexuality, all the criticisms about his personality, all of the people who didn't think that he could sing, all the people who kind of doubted him and didn't really place a lot of value on him outside of being a dancer and a member of SHINee and a visual. I can imagine how traumatizing that would be to have to grow up in that kind of spotlight before you've actually had a chance to formulate who you are as a person. Because, you know, I've heard that for a lot of people, your brain hasn't stopped developing until you reach your mid-20s. So even at this point in time, Taman's mind is still growing. He's still learning finer decision-making skills. And for him to still be growing at this time, but to have all these expectations placed on him, all these rules of etiquette and demeanor and behavior, and to live his life so cloistered the way he has, I'm really impressed with him. Like, I'm really, really proud of him, because that's got to be something very hard to do. And I want to give a shout out to his parents. Hey, because you can't raise a child in that kind of atmosphere without giving them something really strong to fall back on. Hey, giving them something that lets them know that no matter what happens in the industry, no matter what happens on television, no matter what happens in interviews, I'll always be right here. You'll always be taken care of. You'll always be valuable. This doesn't define you. So congratulations to his parents. Undercover's my favorite. Undercover's my favorite too. Great minds, great minds. But congratulations to his parents for raising him right, because Taman could have turned out any way at all. Any way at all. I mean, he could have turned out as an absolute creep. He could have turned out totally twisted and perverted. He could have turned out really sad. He really could have. You know, I mean, look at Taman's counterparts in Western media. So Taman thrust into popularity at 14 years old international age. He could have turned out like a Lindsay Lohan type. He could have turned out like a Corey Haim. He could have turned out like a lot of these Disney Channel kids. You know, for every Raven-Symoné, there is an Orlando Brown. So, I mean, he really could have turned out anyway. But the people who were raising him, the people who were surrounding him, fellow SHINee members, they really had his back. And so I'm just so proud to see where he is now, and his maturity and his confidence and kind of his surety, because it's an industry that doesn't really reward that. As much as a lot of us say that we have our biases and we base our biases on their personality and things like that, there's a slickness behind the scenes of a K-pop idol that's drilled into them from an early time by their company. And it starts with being surrounded by your sunbaes, and they're telling you, okay, listen, I've done this in an interview and it's a mistake. I've said this to somebody behind the scenes and it was a mistake. You need to make sure you kiss up to this PD. You need to make sure that you compliment this producer, that person, this person. There's all these little politics and ways of maneuvering behind the scenes that a child is forced to learn in order to be successful in the industry. And I remember for years wondering why I couldn't get into Taman, why I couldn't connect with Taman, why was Taman so bland? And I don't necessarily think that it's that Taman is a bland person. I think that it was more that Taman was scared. He didn't know what to do because he's still a kid and he wasn't sure how much of himself to reveal in public, what was going to get him in trouble, if people were going to misunderstand him, if he was going to do something that was going to get the rest of his group in trouble. And now we see him a lot more playful. But I really think that that's part of the reason why he cares so much about his group members, because they've been his shield for a lot of the time. And I think the first time that Taman did a solo project. For him, it really was kind of like, okay, now I don't have my shiny shield. How do I promote? And you can see how awkward he was with the Ace promotions. But then you look at the Press It promotions, he was a lot more comfortable. And now you look at him with the Move promotions, and he's really coming to his own. He really believes in himself, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. So I'm going to read May's comment here so you guys can don't know what she's, I'm sure you know what she said because she said it and you guys can read. So many hours are beauty and young now. I'm interested to see what these kids are like when they're older. I'm sure we'll have some Disney Channel kids. You know, I'm interested too. I actually am interested. And the reason I'm interested is because, one, it's different. You know, like, I think that the drug culture is not as strong when it comes to the Korean entertainment industry. So there might not be as much of that. But definitely, I think there is the other side of things, which is the mental health aspect. Growing up under that intense spotlight, and especially with the kind of filial culture and the respectability politics that are present in Korea, I think that has a way of damaging people. Because, you know, one of the things about being a kid is making mistakes. So I'm just going to click this area. One of the things about being a kid is making a mistake. And one of the things that I always consider a blessing in my own life is that I grew up in a time before the internet was really popular. Like, I remember getting my first Yahoo account when I was in my last year of high school. Like, I was a senior in high school and I got my Yahoo account. And I remember that internet was so fresh when I was young that you had to pay for internet by the hour. And I had a kid that I went to school with that his mom almost beat him to death because he had $1,000 internet bill one month. And this was before there was anything good on the internet like YouTube. But I mean, I am 38 now, about to be 39. This was in 97. So yeah, this was 20 years ago. Can you imagine how much $1,000 was 20 years ago? Like, insane amounts of money. But yeah, I used to pay for internet $5 an hour. It was crazy. And so for it to be that now everybody's on the internet all the time, everything you do is saved in for posterity in the cloud, on different servers, 1,000 different websites that are used to catalog and archive information. I do wonder how much stuff is going to happen for these young people and how much of their own self-expression is stifled because they don't get the chance to make mistakes, because everything that they do is out there. Everything that they say is out there. Everything is being examined under a microscope. And what are they going to do to kind of get an outlet that they don't have naturally? What self-destructive things are they going to use as their outlet? And like someone was saying in the chat, you know, drinking culture is really big. How many of them are going to suffer from true alcoholism? Who knows? Who knows? And then I also think about the fact that, you know, okay, smoking, they get criticized for smoking. It's weird that they get criticized for smoking because I remember very distinctly years and years and years ago, Simon and Martina were backstage at some music bank or something like that. I'm sorry, it's allergy season around here, so if you see me sniffling, I apologize. Simon and Martina were at a music bank a long time ago, and Big Bang were walking through the parking lot smoking cigarettes. And so, like, the smoking thing is kind of funny to me. I think the vaping is not so cool. I think the vaping is something people still really don't get, but I see a lot of idols posing with cigarettes, or at least actors. I see a lot of actors posing with cigarettes. I don't think cigarettes are as taboo in Korea as they are here in the United States. It's weird, right? Like, it's more taboo to have a cigarette on television than it is to be caught like drinking a beer or drinking whiskey. I don't understand that. I don't get it. But I worry about what substances they'll get into. I also wonder about behavior because in America, once our kids get to a certain age, like our famous kids, if they want to come out, they can come out. And there's a community that's there for them. And they can operate in that community and still have success in that way. It's not like that in Korea. And so you've got all these young people 12, 13, 14, 15. How old was Samuel? Wasn't he like a fetus when he entered the entertainment industry? They don't know who they are at all. They don't even know what their voice is going to sound like because half of them haven't gone through puberty yet. And then as they're discovering their personhood, all of a sudden they're like, I also have a sexuality that needs to be expressed. And not only can I not express a sexuality that's deviant from the norm, even if I just have a normal or quote unquote societally normal sexuality, I can't even express that because if I do, everything is ruined. Everything is blah. I put everyone in danger. I put my company on the line. I can ruin their money. It's crazy. And I don't know that I would. Sorry about that. How it cuts off and back on. But I don't think I would subject my child to that. I personally wouldn't. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. I personally think that I want them to have more freedom. I want them to be fully grown before they get out there and have to answer to other people's expectations. But I think about those things. I think about those things all the time when it comes to idols. I was just on Twitter. I'm on Twitter all the time. I'm on Twitter all the time. Um, and I was looking at pictures of the gentleman from FT Island, his new baby that him and his wife had. And I was like, okay, so she was pregnant a while ago because this is a big baby. This is not a premature baby. This is a big baby. And 40 weeks pregnant, you can do the math. But I was thinking about how, despite how bad the optics are for us, at the same time, I can only imagine what the pressure was like for them behind the scenes. For her being a part of Laboom and being like, okay, well, I found myself in a relationship that's been outed and I found myself now pregnant. Basically, and be in a girl group. At least not at this time. Like our group could exist for 10 years and we could all retire and come back and reform like SES and I could be a mother. But, being a mother and being a current hot idol is never going to be an option. And then for him in FT Island, I'm sure they were like, okay, well, you go have this baby, but I'm sure his company's like, and immediately after you have this baby, you need to go ahead and get in the military. Because that's the kind of thing that happens. Um, Another thing that I just want to talk about real quick because it came across my mind and maybe you guys can weigh in on this and it's kind of off topic, but maybe not because this is another way that I feel like people act out when they don't have the opportunity to kind of live their lives on their own. I'm not the biggest elf. I like Super Junior quite a bit. I really like Lo Siento. I think it's my favorite song from them in years. But the whole Seungmin thing, I've always thought it was unfair. I've always thought it was crazy how people treated him, how people berated him, how he's been kind of banned from group activities. But I've always thought that Korean elves were kind of insane. And I'm sorry if I offended anybody, but like there's just been a lot from Korean elves that just makes me very leery of them. But while I was thinking about how unfair people have been to him and how, like, really it seems to me the only fault he had was the fact that he fell in love with somebody and didn't tell anybody until he was ready to get married. I think about how little support he had and how much support KHJ has. And if you don't know who KHJ is, former member of SS501, was in Boys Over Flowers, was a big Hallyu actor, idol, star, and then he was outed for harming his girlfriend. They had a huge public squabble. She had a baby by him. There was this big custody paternity dispute. He still gets sponsored tours. He still has fans who are out here like, not my Oppa, that girl is a crazy bitch. And it's just like, this man is a trash can. He is a dumpster fire. But this guy can keep a fan base after proving that he is the human equivalent of not even recyclables, but like sewage. And you have some men who really, the only crime he committed is not being what you thought he was going to be, which is unattainable. Somebody actually got him. That's the crime. That is the crime, is that he didn't save himself for eternal bachelorhood. Instead, he actually hooked up with somebody. And I don't understand it. I don't understand it. If anyone can explain that logic to me, please do. But here you have a man who is a proven woman beater, who disparaged the mother of his child, who hasn't really proven that he's actually a great dad in any way, shape, or form, who's got a family who's just as much of a dumpster fire as he is, and yet he still has the support. He still has the support. I don't understand it. I don't understand. I don't get it. You know, I guess the reason why his fans are still okay with it is because he didn't marry her. The only thing I could think is that they're like, well, at least he didn't marry the bitch. I don't know. I'm only smiling because it makes no sense. I don't know. I mean, I agree, Show 5. It probably has a lot to do with sexism and misogyny and, you know, the patriarchy. But it's just indescribable to me that that's a situation that's tolerable. But love and romance is not. But again, I think, I'm not saying it to say that it's true, but with a person like KHJ, he was in the spotlight for a long time, and he had to be perfect in the spotlight because he's hanging out with other idols and he's making his money off of an image that people have of him. And the image that he had was exactly that. It was an image. It was what people were willing to pay for. It's what his company marketed. But it wasn't him. And behind the scenes, he expressed himself in a really foul, fucked up way. And that's another one of those hurdles that I think that young idols fall into, is that you spend so much time building this kind of bulletproof public persona. And because you're so stifled in your self-expression for the public, behind the scenes, you are the living embodiment of basura. So, yeah, he claimed the kid after the paternity test. Yes, he did. So you have people like Iron, even though he wasn't a child idol or anything like that. But you've got this guy who got this bad boy persona. But it's a fragile bad boy persona. It's a bad persona that's predicate on, it's okay for me to be a bad boy, but I can't be a bad boy who still goes against the idol image of being single, of being, you know, not completely perverse, who doesn't have any real scandal, but I'm a bad boy. But then when real bad boy stuff came out, he's asking the woman to make public statements on his behalf to say it wasn't that bad. He's getting his sister to campaign on his behalf to get this woman to drop charges. You know, all these things to protect his bad boy image. And it's just, again, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Because even though international fans have dropped Iron like a hot iron, I don't know, it's bad pun. I think there's still a niche for him. I think there's still people in K-hip-hop that will want to work with him. I think he's in the military right now. I don't know. I don't keep up with him because he's trash. But I think there's still people who want to see him succeed. And that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me that there's still people out there that want to see him succeed, because he proved that he's not worthy of the success. He's not worthy of the public's trust. He's not worthy of our dollars, because he's not going to do anything productive with them. He's going to use it to continue to facilitate his bad behavior. And so that's why he doesn't deserve to have our attention. And he doesn't deserve to get our tour money. And he doesn't deserve to get our record money. I know I just totally got off on a tangent, but these are the things I think about. Like when I think about K-pop, I don't think about K-pop the way young K-pop fans do. And when I say young K-pop fans, I don't mean like under the age of whatever. I mean like people who haven't been listening to K-pop for a while. Like when you first get into K-pop, and we all probably have had this experience. When you first get into K-pop, you are so caught up in the imagery because it is the most prevalent. It is the biggest thing about K-pop. It is the thing that gets you in there. The music is good, but I will honestly say if it wasn't for the visuals, I don't think K-pop could come as far as it has, because I've watched J-pop videos and sometimes the music is cute, but the videos are like really weirdly produced. Like they don't catch me. But K-pop, on the other hand, it is slick. Like choreography, costuming, camera, everything. It is the total package. And you get into it because it's the total package. And also, it's not as quirky and weird as J-pop is. It's very much suited to Western tastes. And so you watch and you get into it and you start to learn the group and you start to learn their songs, and then you start to learn their names, and then you start to learn about their company and other groups that are affiliated with them, and then you start making your favorites. And it's all about the music and the image at first, but then after a while it's about the news, and it's about the K-pop news and what happened with the latest group and what's the latest scandal and what's the next comeback, and also how does it relate to the rest of Hallyu media. And then you get to a point where certain things no longer hold up. The sheen is off the diamond, if you will. And you start to notice the misogyny, and you start to notice the vitriol, and you start to notice the double standard, and you start to notice how toxic fandom is. And a lot of people want to look at fandom now as toxic. Yes, the whole hey Sean Baby Muse, the whole BTS XOL thing, yeah, that's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But fandom has always been like that. And we just got through talking about K-Elf's treatment of Sungmin, but let's keep going. Let's look at how K-Elf's treated Hangang. Look at how K-Elf's treated the other members of Super Junior M. Let's look at how K-Elf's have, not just K-Elf's, but K-pop stands in Korea have done Black Oceans. They have tried to poison members of TVXQ. Like all these really seriously fucked up things that homegrown fans have done. And then you look at this stuff with ARMYs and XLLs, and it's a war of words, and yes, it's really ugly, and some of the intention behind it is really gross, but you don't really hear too much about international fans physically attacking their idols. That's not a big part of it. So yeah, like the more you get into it, the more you see that stuff. And the more you're like, wow, this is not as idealistic as I thought it was. It isn't as great. And you kind of grow up and you mature and you start to really look at things with a critical eye. Same thing with the industry itself. You know, a lot of times when you're first starting out, you're like, I'm a SM stan, I'm a JYP stan, I'm a Woollim stan, I'm a, YG stan. Then you start to be like, what does that really mean? And that's when you're like, okay, well, what is this company really about? And then you're like, the company is a TS Entertainment, and it's about overworking your idols and underpaying your idols and not really promoting them correctly and not really developing them properly, and about misusing them and treating them as nothing more than product, and making it to where fans start to say, I am a this label stan or a that label stan, and making it about the label instead of about the artist. And those are the things that you start to look at the more you're into K-pop. And those are the things that I think make it very difficult to tolerate a lot of the the immaturity that you catch out there, you know? Because once you catch a whiff of that immaturity and some of these people who like take it for face value, a lot of the people that look at the whole, well, armies do this and XOLs do that, that kind of stuff, I can't even really see that. I can't even really see that because I'm more seeing, okay, what about their mental health? Who's looking at that? What about the fact that you have artists that are crying out for help because they've been abandoned by their labels? You know, people haven't really been talking about it that much on the Twitter that I follow, but all the stuff with Hansel from Top Dog, that shit is frightening as hell. That's the stuff of nightmares. And that's not the stuff that you hear K-pop Twitter really talking about all that much. You know, you have a kid who was in a group that had potential, but had a record label that really didn't seem to know what to do with them. And now he's on Instagram cutting himself and talking about he doesn't want to live anymore. And it's just, I don't even, it just puts everything into perspective. It just puts everything into perspective. And it makes it to where, you know, I consider myself an SM stan because their label has the majority of the artists that I like to follow. But fucking SM. Really? Because it's about the people. And I haven't said it, but, you know, if people have blood on their hands, I do feel like SM does have a little bit of that when it comes to Jonghyun. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that SM is responsible for Jonghyun's passing. I'm not saying that at all. But I will say this. I think SM should have created an environment that if Jonghyun had wanted to reach out for help, he should have felt like the label would have assisted him in getting that help. Same thing for YG. I feel like when Park Bom needed the help, instead of her having to figure out a way to get it on her own, she should have had a label that would have facilitated her getting that help. I think just as much as your labels groom you to be a variety show artist, your labels groom you to be a well-rounded performer and able to be both on stage and in the recording booth, I think your label should give you the tools you need to be an idol for a long time by protecting your sanity and protecting your ability to live. And I think that record labels, just like they have these choreographers and stylists and everything else, I think there should be in-house counselors. I think there should be somebody that's a part of the label that is able to come with groups while they're on tour and give them counseling the whole time. You know, when they're tired, give them breathing exercises. When they're feeling exhausted, give them ways of channeling that, being able to report back to the label like, you know what, this person right here, they're at a point where if we continue to push them, they're going to be in danger, so we need to give them a break. I think that has to be a part of it. It has to be a part of it. And so, like I said, I'm not saying it's SM's fault, but I am saying the industry needs to provide for that. You know, I think that the industry needs to do a better job of presenting its failures. I think that a lot of times when these children go in to being trainees, I don't think that they're given the full book of what the implications are. You know, not just the hide your sexuality, hide your real personality, don't get caught dating, don't be involved with recreational drugs, try not to beat your secret girlfriends or boyfriends, but also like don't think that you entering this building is going to mean that there's going to be happy ever after. Like, have a backup plan. Stay in school, kid. You know, I think about when I was thinking about Hansel, because after I heard, I had to do a little bit more research and stuff, and I was just thinking in my mind, like, what is he doing if he can't do this? Because if you go on his Instagram, it's all dancing. He's really big on dancing. Choreography seems to be his life. Like, he's really into it. He's also got really good musical taste. He has Say on his Instagram, and she is a winner. Saay. Look up her song Overzone. It's so good. Um, but he seems to have come from a place where probably his involvement with Top Dog was him thinking, my future's secured, my dreams are alive, I'm going to be this thing. And there is no kind of clearinghouse for trainees once the dream is proven to be unrealized. So there is no, okay, well, now that we know you're not going to make it as an idol, or, we tried to push you as an idol, but the public just isn't buying it. Here are your next set of options. That's not it. It's an all or nothing gig. And because becoming an idol in the way that a big hits BTS is, or, an SNSD from SM, the chances of being that are like winning the lottery. And there's nobody to tell them, okay, well, if you don't win the lottery, what are you going to do to make a living? So there's the mental health resources that need to be there, but there's also like the aftercare resources that need to be there. And that's something that I think leads to a lot of mental health issues, because you hear it all the time. The girl that was on the Kara show who killed herself after it was over. You hear about idols who's, are, well, not idols, trainees that don't make it, or actors that don't make it, or models that don't make it, and there's no backup for them. They feel like they don't have a reason to exist. So they are reported as having hurt themselves because things without hope. So you've got somebody who doesn't have, maybe could have fallen back on. It's not there. And when that's the case, it's just like, well, no wonder. You gave them nothing. You took these children's dreams and you sold them a pretty picture. And when it didn't work out, you left them with nothing. You left them ill prepared for this life. And I think that's something that companies should have. Like, they should have a career path that runs right alongside. Yes, for image purposes, they make all of their idols graduate high school. And sometimes they have them enroll in college. But even the ones that enroll in college or graduate from high school, those are the ones that are constantly in the public eye. Those aren't the ones that don't make it. The ones that don't make it, they don't insist on their schooling. Because the whole schooling thing, when you're a bigger idol, is just to prove how normal you are or to bring more accolades to the label. It's not really for your own personal development a lot of the time. That's the reason why, fuck, what is her name? Lim. Lim from the Wonder Girls. She's in school now. She's like in university now. And she's been an idol for how many years? She's in school again. Because now she's going to school for herself. She's not going to school for JYP. And, those kind of things. Those are the things that you start to think about once K-pop's not new anymore. All this, we need to win the music shows and we need to get the most sales and all that stuff. That's all fine and good. And we're all really happy for those things. And I'm not saying that joy doesn't exist. But now is the time, as mature fans, that we really need to start putting these labels' asses to the fire and start demanding that they do better. Because no one should ever have to go through losing their idol, losing their inspiration, losing the people that they've grown to love. No one should have to go through that. And it's completely possible to prevent it for at least one person. You may not be able to prevent it for all, because there is an element of self-care involved in this. But there's at least one person out there who, if they could just be given the set of tools, they will build their ladder and they will climb out of the abyss. But if you won't give them anything, what the hell do you expect? Okay. Off my soapbox. Sorry, guys. I'm just I'm in mom mood right now. My baby's gone, and so I'm just thinking about like these are my babies, and this is what I would want for them. This is what I would want for them. But let's just talk about something else. Somebody throw a subject out there. We'll talk about that because like I said, I've been on my soapbox long enough. Popcorn? Popcorn? I personally prefer the Oscar Mayer, Orville Redenbacher, Simply Natural, I think is what it's called, where it's like very lightly salted, not a lot. It's my favorite. It's really, really good. Even though Jolly Time does a Simply Natural as well, that's also quite tasty. I recommend them both. And Jolly Time is terrible popcorn, but it's still good. This might be a little off subject, but I used to self-harm, and now my best boyfriend jokes about it, but he doesn't know self-harm. How do I bring about the topic? Because it kind of hurts that he jokes about it, if it makes sense. That's tough. That is tough. I mean, if your boyfriend doesn't know that you used to self-harm and he makes jokes about it, I guess I would start by asking him, like, has he ever known anybody who's done that before? And if he's never known anybody who's done that before, then that's when I would say, okay, well, I want to know if you've ever known anyone who's done that before, because I see that you make a lot of jokes about it, and I haven't brought it up until now because I've been kind of nervous, but I used to do that, and it makes me really uncomfortable because it kind of feels like you're laughing at me, and I know you don't mean to because you didn't know this about me and you've never dealt with it before, but I need you to understand that this is a sensitive topic for me. And also just tell him everything that you've done to get away from that behavior. Hey, because that's another thing is sometimes people, thank you, Shala 5. See, she's educated. You should listen to her. Sometimes people don't understand what takes a person into that mindset to self-harm, and also the amazing amount of strength, courage, and just perseverance it takes to climb out of that. Because it's one thing to tell yourself, I'm never going to cut myself again. It's another to make good on that promise. It's another to be able to talk yourself, go ahead, keep typing, keep typing. It's another to be able to talk to yourself in those moments and do something better. And that's something that I think is very important, is that you let him know why it's not a joke and what you had to do in order to change your behavior. Hopefully that behavior has changed. I hope you're not doing that anymore. But definitely try to explain why it's so important. If he doesn't, dump him. Like, cut and dry. Goodbye. Because the last thing you need in your life is somebody who can't appreciate your struggle. Because that's also somebody who's not going to be able to appreciate your success. There's a lot of times that we tell ourselves that people are better than they are or they're worse than they are. But when it comes to romantic relationships, intimacies, things like that, you have to protect yourself. Because if you don't start protecting yourself early on, you may find yourself later on down the road in a situation that you can't extract yourself from. So yeah, if this is the litmus test, let him try to pass it. And if he doesn't pass it, move on, because there's dick everywhere. Oh my gosh. It's in the streets. It's falling off roofs. It's, around the corner and down the alley. Sometimes you have to swat it away from you when you're just trying to eat your salad. It's everywhere. So don't feel like you have to be tied to this one individual. And honestly, if that's not what you're after, I've been alone for a long time. I really have. Like, me and my husband separated 8 years ago. I haven't been with anyone since. And honestly, it's not that bad, because I don't have to answer to somebody else. I get to spend a lot of time doing the things that make me happy. So there we go. Okay, what do I think about K-pop in the West and K-pop success in the West? That's right, Teddy. You could do it. You're smart. You can do it. So K-pop success in the West. The BTS thing, I am really hesitant to try to make any predictions on that. Only because when it comes to K-pop, we haven't had this before. But when it comes to a foreign language group being popular, that we've had several times in the past. And for a lot of them, they've become footnotes in history. Like, do you remember that song with those two Russian girls that were pretending to be lesbians called All the Things She Said? Anybody remember that at all? Just let me know if you remember it at all. That song was in English. Tattoo! Yay! That song was in English, I believe. But that group, I remember people thought that, like, Tattoo was going to be a thing. Like, really a thing. And it's a thing in Russia, but it's not a thing here anymore. It was a phase. Does anybody remember Tokyo Hotel? Anyone at all? In the comments, does anyone remember Tokyo Hotel? Okay, so at least one person knows Tokyo Hotel. Again, German. Strictly in German. And everybody was like, they're going to be huge. They're going to be here forever. Oh my gosh. And, you know, for the Hot Topic emo crowd, Tokyo Hotel was big. But they're not now. And there's a lot of Western artists, like, you know, American artists that make it big off one hit and then they disappear. Like, does anybody remember Chingy? But because of that, I am hesitant to place a bet on BTS's future success because I know America. I don't know new America, but I know old America. And old America is fickle as fuck. Sorry, popcorn's in my teeth. The America that I grew up in, when it comes to artists that don't fit the profile of what we consider to be lasting artistry, then we don't invest in them. And I think that BTS is going to be one of those ones that we're just not going to invest in unless they have a big American song. Popcorn kernels all in my mouth. It's disgusting. I shouldn't have picked that as my snack of choice. But I say it has to be a big American song or a big English song because I think as long as it's in Korean, number one, people can't sing to it. And one of the things is you got to get people to sing along to it. I don't know why, but it's just a thing. We have to be able to sing along to it. But also, it's always going to be considered other. It's always going to be seen as other because it's in a foreign language. And I'm not saying BTS has to do English if they don't want to. But if we're talking about long-term success here, it's going to have to be in English. It's going to have to be in English. That or their next album has to come out in almost 5 months. Like, that's the truth. They either have to continue to release things back to back to back to back to back and never rest, and the fans are continually being fed material to chase after, or if they do take a break for, let's say, 7 months, 8 months, they've got to come back in English. It's the only thing I could say. And I say that because, like Unbox Me said, there's a lot of hurdles for BTS to overcome. One of the big hurdles is they can't really do interviews without Namjoon. That's a big hurdle, guys. I know you don't see it that way, but, you know, having to have someone constantly hear the question, repeat it in Korean, take the answer in Korean, then repeat it in English, and then do that process over and over again, that's exhausting. That is exhausting. And for media types in America who are used to quick, that's hard. So yeah, I think that the language is a hurdle, but then, like I said, the song, there are people, thank goodness, who are enlightened enough to not be put off by the fact that the songs don't have a lot of English lyrics. But there are those who are, absolutely. And in order to kind of last around here, you have to sing in English. You know, I mean, Shakira, I'll put it that way. Shakira was a star before she came out Whenever, Wherever. And the reason I know that is because I lived in El Paso. And in El Paso, outside of Selena, Shakira was the next biggest female that anyone could talk about. And I remember hearing about her for years before she came out with Whenever, Wherever. Then the Selena movie came out. J-Lo got popping. That is when Emilio Estefan, got the last name. Emilio Estefan, the husband of Gloria Estefan, said, okay, I've been working with this Shakira girl for a minute. Now's the time. The Latin explosion has come. I'm going to push her out there. And when he pushed her out there, he didn't push her out there with all the music she had done for years before. He put her out there with English language. And even after doing English language, she would still do Spanish language albums, and they're highly successful albums. Like really, her videos with the most views tend to be her Spanish language videos. Look it up on YouTube. The stats are real. But they knew for her to be an entity here, for this to be a place where she would be able to continue to have a career, she had to do it in English. She had to do it in English. And it's crazy because one of my favorite songs by Shakira is all in Spanish, and I wish I could sing it, but I can't. Hold up. Oh, I can't get it out. It's so annoying. I have this popcorn kernel stuck in my teeth. But there's a song she has with, oh, what's this? It's The Torture. La Tortura. That's the name of the song. My favorite Shakira song. I love that song. It came out years and years and years ago. But that song, fantastic. It's not in English, so it doesn't get the play. And it sucks. It sucks because there's quality content there, but it's in Spanish. It doesn't get the play. BTS is going to be like Despacito. Oh my gosh, I'm almost ready to get off here because I'm so angry because it just stuck. But yeah, Enrique Iglesias, same thing. Even Mark Anthony, same thing. And he was barely popular. Ricky Martin, super popular Menudo before he came over to English. And actually, I remember Ricky Martin again for being super popular in Spanish because he did the Cup of Life song for the World Cup before Living La Vida Loca came out. And I remember being in high school, going to the summer jam at the baseball field in El Paso and watching Ricky Martin with long hair sing the Cup of Life and people losing their fucking minds. Like just not even throwing panties, but practically throwing babies on stage because they loved him so much. And it was all well and fine, but it had to be Living La Vida Loca. It had to be Living La Vida Loca to make it work. Celine Dion was brought up too. Again, Eurovision, you know, the world's biggest show, Celine Dion. But it had to be Beauty and the Beast, I'm Your Lady, You're My Man, like all that stuff. Titanic. It had to be all that stuff. And it's just the way it is because we're spoiled. You know, I mean, I like Despacito. I think it's a good song. And it was a killer blockbuster song before Justin Bieber decided to hop on the remix. But him hopping on the remix is what made it huge in America. And after that, Daddy Yankee's got a single out right now that's doing major, major views. You're not hearing it on the radio. That was a trend, so it's not going to be forever. Exactly. Well, it's a trend for English-speaking people. Latin music is not a trend for people who speak Spanish. And people kind of forget about the fact that A lot of the world speaks Spanish. A lot of the world. Not just people from Mexico, but you're talking South America. A lot of the world speaks Spanish. And that's why they'll always have a market. And it's kind of going to be that way when it comes to BTS because Korea is still going to buy BTS. They'll always have a market there. But I think that honestly, if BTS was smart, I'm not saying that they're not smart, but like if they're really trying to get this money, their next album should be all Chinese. Like facts and figures. Their next album should all be in Mandarin. Because that's really where the new music market is. That's really where the money is. So, yeah, I think that's what it is. You know, you really need to find out where you can last and market to that. I think that's the reason why it is kind of smart that they didn't decide to do Fake Love in two versions, like a English and then an American. Like they decided to go ahead and just do the Korean. But I think that you got to stick with where you're best understood, and that's where you need to go. And I know you're saying that J-pop's world's second biggest music market, but this is why you want to go Mandarin. It's not because of the music market for selling CDs. It's because of the market for variety, for movies, and for concerts. That's where the money is in China. The money is not in selling CDs. Absolutely not, because people bootleg all the time. The money is in going to China, getting on your television shows, being able to make appearances, being able to hold concerts and people show up. You know, even as a music artist in the West, you don't make your money off of selling CDs. BTS could have come to America and sold 200,000 CDs here. That wouldn't have been the money. The money is, can I get you to buy these high-ass concert tickets? And that is what they're doing. Like, it's no coincidence that the ticket sales came out before the album came out. That happened because had the ticket sales not been that great, that album would have been expected to push those ticket sales up. It just so happened, though, that the ticket sales were insane and they sold out first day. But had there been any kind of weakness in those ticket sales, that album was going to be a prop to get people to buy those tickets. Absolutely. So, yeah, that's the reason why you invade markets like the Chinese market, because they can support you in a way that doesn't require you to put out huge albums all the time. Look at a Chris Wu. He's not putting out a full album. He's putting out singles, digital singles. Digital singles, not even physical, digital singles. The money is not even in the fact that people download the songs. The money is in him being able to leverage those chart placements into put me in your next movie, put me on your next TV show, put me in your Western media because you know I've got a fan base that will follow me there. That's really what it is. Chris Wu was not in the XXX movie because he is an amazing actor. Let's not lie, because I watched that movie for him and I could barely understand what he was saying. He was in that movie because that movie was going to go to China to be sold, and he was going to sell that movie for them there. So, yeah, that's why I say China's the next big frontier. You know, same thing with all the XXL members. Tao, I don't even remember the last bit of music I got from him. But it doesn't fucking matter because he's all over my Twitter feed for being on the Produce show in China. Luhan, I have no idea what he's doing right now. I know he's dating some pretty girl, but other than that, I have no idea what he's doing right now. It doesn't matter. When he's ready to come back, he has a built-in fan base that's going to support whatever he does. Lay, I mean, yeah, for those of us who are, you know, old school OT12 fans, OT9, we miss Lay. We want him to come back home. But Lay is busy getting filthy, stinking rich. And because of that, what reason does he have to ever come back? Ever, 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 ever. He just doesn't. So that's why I say, like, it's just, you know, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. I mean, he can say, I would love to come back and do a small show with you guys. I would love to make the chump change that you're making. But I make all the money that the entire group of you make by myself. And so, yeah, I'm going to pass on that. I've got movies to do, I've got TV shows to show up on. And that's just the facts. That's the facts and figures of that. And that's why I say, if you're smart, release it Mandarin. Make your money. Any other questions? Anybody else got any other questions for me? Victoria Song's song Roof on Fire is so good. I haven't heard it. I was told by SM Care that I was going to get a Victoria Song album in Korea. That hasn't happened yet. So since that hasn't happened, I haven't been checking for Chinese stuff. I'm sorry. Does it have an MV? I don't know. It does? Trippy, huh? Okay. Okay. I might try to check that out then. I will tell you, I really liked Faye from Miss A's video, but the timing of it was unfortunate for her. Blackpink and Pristin. Okay, I barely talked about Pristin, and when I say barely, I mean I thought about getting their album, but I didn't like the packaging, so that's what I mean by barely. I really like the song. I really do. Like V. It's a silly title, but the song knocks. The album packaging, one of my least favorite formats ever. It is that magazine packaging with the CD, I want to say in the middle of the album, maybe. It's like, it's a blank page, and in one corner, by where it flips at, is an envelope, and the CD is stuffed in the envelope. Have you seen the unboxing? Oh my gosh. It is, it's atrocious. It is a terrible, terrible built album. But I like the songs. So I think what I'm going to do is, rather than buy it new, since I'm so opposed to the packaging, I'm going to wait for it to like get secondhand and probably buy it that way. But yeah, it is like a floppy magazine. Okay, perfect example. Do you guys remember the Reboot album by Wonder Girls? Do you remember how that was a magazine? That was a brilliant magazine. That was a really good magazine. It is like that, except for tilted the other way. So instead of it being tall, it's long pages, and then there's like a CD square attached to a page, and it's an envelope, and that's what the CD is in. It is awkward. It is awkward. I don't like it. And it's floppy. It's not even like firm, it's floppy. Ugh. It's awful. It's awful. But yeah, I like the song. I think I'm going to dig the album. I just really want better packaging, and I don't want to spend good money on something that I believe is going to tear up. Because CDs are not a joke now. You know, it used to be, get a K-pop CD for maybe $18, $19. No, $20 minimum, unless you're getting it used. And for that kind of money, I need something that's a little bit more stable. Let's talk about Blackpink's light sticks, since that was brought up. I don't know why their light stick is a whack-a-mole hammer, but okay, I guess. But it's just like, it just shows that Blackpink is a joke to YG, because he literally gave them a toy for a light stick. It even squeaks when you pound it. Come on. Come on. At least it doesn't look like a uterus, which is what I initially thought it was going to look like. But yeah, it's a joke. It is a joke. To him, Blackpink is a joke. So why wouldn't their light stick be a joke? And then there's the mini album that they're supposed to come up with, which sounds like the Maid series. I mean, maybe he'll prove us wrong. Maybe he'll come out with, 5 new songs plus the 5 released songs. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be more YG's bullshit. I think it's going to be like 1 or 2 new songs plus the old songs, and that's going to be it. So I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see. It's a light up squeaky hammer, guys. I'm not even kidding. Where the squeaky parts are, they're shaped like pink hearts, but it is a large light up squeaky hammer. True talk. Real story. But yeah, I just, I don't trust him. 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 You know, he's not loyal to anybody. He's not loyal to anybody. Yes, those. That's what it is. But it lights up. That's all. That's all. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Any more questions from anybody? Anyone? Anyone? I know I was complaining about popcorn in my teeth, but since it won't come out, I'm just going to eat the rest of it. Oh. Yeah, everybody saw the mock-up thing. Do I like Good Evening? Of course I like Good Evening. It's the best. Okay, you got to call me later. All right. AOA's new comeback. AOA's new comeback. It's going to sound offensive, but it's forgettable. Like, I'm trying to think what it sounds like right now, and I can't even remember what it sounds like. Like, seriously, in my mind, I'm trying to remember what this damn song sounds like. I know the video. It's a video game, and the girl's playing the video game, and the 8-bit characters or the rest of AOA acting out video game moves, but I cannot remember what the song sounds like. Yeah, no, I can't remember what the song sounds like. So, good on them that they're getting a good reception in Korea, because I think that people were a little mean to them about the whole Africa TV and not knowing who certain people are as. I mean, yeah, it was dumb of them to pretend to be dumb. I mean, I get it that the uncle fans and the male stands are what really propelled your popularity, but at the same time, don't ever try to lower your intellect to try to catch a man, because that shit will backfire on you so quickly, so fast. So yeah, I can't say that I particularly felt sorry for the situation. I will say I miss Choa. I miss Choa a lot. I think that's probably the reason why I don't remember the song, is because to me, Choa had the most distinctive sound in AOA, and without her, there are just no parts of the song that stand out. Not even Jimin's rap, which, okay, am I the only one? Like I said, I did watch the video. Am I the only one who found it very sus that they really never did any close-ups of Jimin's face? Like, is that just me? I mean, I don't know if maybe I'm reading into it, but I feel like they really didn't do a lot of close-ups of Jimin's face. Like, they showed her, but even like during her rap segments where it's her rap, they would show like extended group shots. It was very strange. But yeah, I don't recognize a single girl in that group except for Solyeon. I'm serious. I watched the video. I even watched an unboxing of both of the albums on K-Town for You's channel. Even though K-Town for You is a useless website, their unboxing channel is actually super informative now. Whoever's running it has really done a fantastic job with that site, because now when you watch their videos, when they show the photo card, they actually interpret the back of the photo card. So that's really cool. They probably don't want to scare the viewers with how different her face looks. She got plastic surgery done a while ago. Okay, so Jimin had a lot of plastic surgery done. And to be honest, I don't think it was particularly good plastic surgery. But not because she came out looking hideous. Like, that's not what I'm going to say. She didn't come out looking hideous, deformed, because I've seen people that have had really bad plastic surgery. It's more that the plastic surgery that she had done makes her look very generic. Like, she looks like every other girl in Korea who's had plastic surgery. And that's really a shame, because I never thought that Jimin was ugly. I thought she had a charming square chin. And I didn't think there was anything wrong with that. You know, she wasn't the cutest girl in the group, but she had a very distinctive look. And for me, that worked for her. And if something in her life made her feel like that look wasn't good enough, or it was too quirky, or it stood out too much, then you know, if this is what she had to do to make herself feel better, then do you. But I don't necessarily think that her company is happy with it. And I think that's the reason why she didn't really get that many close ups, is because I think that they feel like the backlash that she's gotten has kind of lowered her brand. So that's why they don't want to really focus on her that much. Instead, they're focusing on the new blonde in the group. So Choa was the designated blonde in AOA. Now they've got a new designated blonde in the group. And again, like I said, I don't recognize a single girl in that group except for Soyeon. But she's passable. She's passable. I mean, they tried to make her into that Choa figure, make her the center of choreography, main vocal, all that stuff. But I just, Yuna, that's her name. Okay. I don't, it doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't do anything for me the way that Pristin did something for me. Pristin actually really impressed me. Oh, let me talk about one thing that I think that I am starting to age out of K-pop for real, because I listened to Giotto's La Ta Ta Ta. Everyone was like, oh, it's so good, it's so great, they're so awesome. I don't see it. There's only one person in that entire group that I see it for, and that's Miss Husky Voice, because her voice is super unique. But I thought that the styling was overstyled for like the clothing choices. I didn't think that the sets were particularly imaginative. I don't remember much about the choreography except for they tried to go for kind of a Bollywood thing. But yeah, I really didn't like La Ta Ta Ta. And then I heard another one of their songs called Money, I think is the name of the song. And it is a hot mashup mess. I don't understand why that's what they went with. But Cube, you know, is coming back. Cube is coming back. I don't know what happened, who they talked to, who got fired, but yeah, Cube is coming back. Because even though the GL thing does nothing for me, and I kind of agree with everybody that CLC, your time has come and gone, sashay away. I really like Shine by Pentagon. I really like it. I can't think of a single other Pentagon song to save my life. Should somebody run up in here with a gun and say, sing a bar of a Pentagon song, I'd be like, oh my gosh, that would be me, and I would be gone. But Shine, on the other hand, I really like it. I like the instrumentation. I like the way it's set up. I like the vocals on it. Like, I really dig it. To the point that I'm like, should I buy this album? Should I buy this album? But I mean, it's one of those things where I really hate to come in the middle of somebody's discography, because, you know, I like completion. I like collections. But like I said, I can't recall any of their other stuff that I like. So I don't think it would make sense for me to go back and buy the rest of their discography. But I really like Shine. Another thing that I really like right now, I really like Stray Kids. I know, I'm sorry. Don't shoot me, don't hurt me, don't hurt me. Okay, so when Stray Kids first came out with Elevator, I don't like Elevator. Flat out, I'm not even gonna apologize for that. I don't like Elevator. Elevator is not for me. District 9, on the other hand, I totally get it. I totally get it. And now I understand why Katy Boo bought all of their albums and was like, I need more copies. I get it now. I didn't get it before. I get it now. The reason why Katy Boo likes them so much is because they actually are kind of like a mashup of BAP and iKON. It is really freaky. Like, it is a mashup of BAP, iKON, and a little bit of Big Bang kind of thrown in there for flavor in terms of the vocals. And I dig it. I dig it. I like it. I want it in my life. I need to have a little piece of it. Because, you know, I like BAP, but a lot of their sound is a little bit dated. A little bit. The rap styling. But Bang Gook had a very distinctive voice, and that kind of very powerful group sound on a chorus is something that definitely needs to stay in K-pop, and they do a lot of that with Stray Kids, and I really, really like that. So that is the reason why I think they have captured the hearts of a lot of us second gens, because they sound like the type of group that we expected third gen to be before everything went to shit and it all became tropical house. So yeah, that's I like it. I think I'm gonna buy a used copy online. I've seen a couple of listings on eBay for buying a copy for like $15 from somebody without the photo cards, and because I don't have a bias in that group, I don't need a photo card. I just need the album. So I think that's where I'm headed with that. I think I'm gonna get it. Another album that I've been listening to a lot lately that I'm gonna get a copy of is VIXX's Eau de VIXX. I love it. Now, don't get me wrong, Scentist, I still have problems with that title. I really have problems with that title. First of all, because for like a solid month, I thought it was Scientist. But two, I think a Scentist would be a perfumier, and I think they should have just gone with perfumier since it's Eau de VIXX. Scentist? The fuck? Perfumier. It's that simple. But the album is gorgeous. The album is really, really, really good. And I just think that more people should pay attention to it, listen to it, love it. I think if you like SHINee, you should really like this album. That's my opinion. It's just really, really good. And I saw a lady selling copies for $15 without photo cards on the eBays. So I may indulge. We'll see. When I get paid, I might indulge. But yeah, I really, really like it. I think the only thing that throws me off about VIXX, and I think this is the thing that throws off a lot of people for VIXX, is Robbie. And I say that in the nicest way possible, because I'm not trying to be mean to the guy, because he works really hard and I think he's a valuable member of VIXX. But when you listen to that album and then you hear Robbie come in, he throws everything off. Like, the album is really smooth and it's got some sensual moments, and it's nice. It is a nice album. And then Ravi comes in with his rap, and it's like, oh my gosh, you dropped the glass on the ground. Like, all of a sudden, I'm distracted. You throw me off. And so, yeah, I think that Ravi, if he can learn to kind of acclimate himself to the sound of the rest of the song, it would be okay. But it's like he's like a bull in a china shop. As soon as he arrives, you just hear the clatter, and there he is. So yeah, I think for the tone that they went for with that album, his rap style does not fit. Also, Robbie does something really, really strange in his rap, and I've just started to notice this now. He puts too many words in his rhymes, and so it throws off the meter on his rhymes. Like, he'll be like, let's say a rhyme is da 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 da, he'll go da 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 da, and it's just like, whoa, what'd you do in the middle there? Like, why are there 15 syllables here when there's only room for 10? He does that a lot, and so it's not only jarring with his tone of voice, but his rhyme pattern is also slightly off, and it's distracting. It's distracting. So yeah, I think that you should give Eau de VIXX a chance if you haven't already listened to it. It's super, super good. It's just that, Ravi's on it, and there's nothing you could do about that. But he seems like a nice guy. I think they did him dirty on the season of Show Me the Money that he was on. I think they played him up as being cocky, but I mean, what's the difference between being cocky and having a rapper's bravado? Editing. That's the difference. So I think that if you take that into account, Robbie's a lot more palatable, because you can tell from looking at his interactions with the rest of the group, that he's a nice guy and he cares and he's worked really hard to get where he's at. He just doesn't get a fair shake all the time. So there's that. Any other questions about any other music? Has anyone else in the room heard Crush's Bittersweet? Anyone else in the room? Am I the only person that's heard this song? It came out on Crush's birthday. It was his birthday present to all of us, apparently, but it was a birthday present that I had to buy. But has anyone heard? Thank you, Jazzy. You guys, that song is stuck in my head. I cannot escape it. When I wake up in the morning, I'm doing okay, and then all of a sudden I'm just like, and it traps me. At night before I go to bed, I'm just like, all day I've been thinking of you. I cannot get it to go anywhere. He has bewitched me, and I need someone to help me break the spell. I don't know if it's that he needs to kiss me in order to break the spell. If that's the case, come and see here. But yeah, I am entranced with Bittersweet. If I had to describe Bittersweet, and this is a description that I think a lot of you are not going to get because it is very lifestyle time frame based. If you used to listen to a lot of 90s, late 90s, early 2000s R&B that was very neo-soul influenced, especially a lot of stuff from Bad Boy, stuff from Total, stuff from Carl Thomas, that kind of sound from R&B, imagine that with just, it's got that R&B jazzy sound, it's got that really plinky piano sound to it. It kind of makes you want to do the Mary J. Blige Auntie Bop. And then underneath the current of the melody, you hear Bobby Caldwell's What You Won't Do for Love. That is my best description of the song. And like that was the prime of my life. That was when I was at my most culturally relevant. And so the song was made for me. The song was made for me. And I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So, yes. Your mama's gonna love the song, Jade. Play it for your mama. She's gonna love it. She's gonna say she's heard it before, but in English. She's gonna love it. Also, he does some really cool jazz vocals on the song. There's a lot of like really nice kind of counter melody ad-libs he does in the song. So nice. So nice. I'm addicted. It's the best. Just thinking about it, I'm hyped. Woo! Woo! I cannot wait for his album. And it's really strange because I was just thinking about this because Jade was asking a group of her friends on Twitter to answer some random questions for her. And when she was asking about those random questions, I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and answer them, everything else. And it said, like, what song is stuck in your head? And that was my answer for a song stuck in my head. But then it said, like, who's your favorite male solo? And I had to think really hard about that. I went with The Living, because I could have easily said Jonghyun, because that would have been a fact. But I went with The Living, and I had to choose between Dean or Crush. And that's really difficult, because Dean, to me, has an immediately identifiable vocal sound. So I can definitely make a case for arguing Dean over Crush. But then I look at Crush's discography, including appearances on other people's songs, the different styles of music that he does, the times when his vocal has snuck up on me and then caught me, and also the way he writes his songs and the styles that he uses when he comes up with his songs. And I'm like, okay, well, Crush. And there's definitely a case there for Crush. And so I decided I would just put them both aside and go with Zion T. And I went with Zion T as my favorite male solo because even though Zion T has decided to join YG's train of I only release stuff every 5 millennia, Zion T has arguably the most identifiable voice in K-pop. Like, you can argue with me all day long if you want to. No one sounds like Zion T. Not even in like Western music. No one sounds like Zion T. Name somebody. Name someone. No one. There's no one that sounds like Zion T. And because of that reason alone, he is my top male solo. Because it's just, you can challenge him, but the minute he opens his mouth, you know who it is. And you have a certain level of expectation from him once he begins to get into it. I was listening to a song on YouTube by a Chinese R&B singer called Khalil Fong. Has anyone here heard of Khalil Fong? Anyone? Anyone at all? I feel like probably no one has. The only reason why I know who Khalil Fong is because Zion T and Crush were doing the promotions for the song. It's the, what's the name of the song that Crush and Zion T did? The anyway, can't remember it. Khalil Fong, both of them were in this interview and they're like, we both are really big fans of Khalil Fong. Just, thank you, Jazzy. See, you know my heart. I really wish we lived near each other because I think we would be bestest buddies forever because you're so much me. But Just, they were doing the interview for the promotions for Just, and they both said they were big fans of Khalil Fong. Khalil Fong is a huge R&B singer in China. He does Mandarin. So if you're into Mandarin, you're into R&B, you'd love it. He did a song before the Crush T divorce. He did a song with Zion T and Crush for his album in China. And I think the song is called Flavor. I think it's called Flavor. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Just type in Khalil Fong Zion T and it'll come up. But anyway, listen to the song. And I was like, okay, this is cool. This is cool. I like his voice. Then I heard Crush. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I like his voice. Again, Crush is one of those vocals that sneaks up on you because his color is not evident from the first note he sings, but as he gets into it, you know it's him. As soon as Zion T said one single note, I'm like, oh, there's Zion T right there. And it was on. It was on because that's how distinctive he is. Like, just nobody sounds like him. Nobody does what he does vocally. He is an entity all of his own. And so he was my choice. He was my choice. Actually, we should ask Jade to ask her questions to the room so we can all have a chance to answer her questions because they were actually really good, basic, hard to answer questions. It's called Favor. So I thought it was Flavor, but it's Favor. They were very hard to answer questions because they were so basic, but they were really good questions. I said, okay, so I did Flavor. So it is Flavor. They were hard questions to answer because they were so basic, but it really challenges you to think critically about stuff. Because if you don't think critically about it, it's easy to come up with an answer that you'll regret later on. So I had to really think before I was able to answer her questions. And that's why the whole Crush Dean debate ended up with Zion T. But the first question was, what's a song that's stuck in your head? So anybody in the room, what's a song that's currently stuck in your head? Hopefully it's not one of the songs I just poorly sung because my singing voice is non-existent. But what song is currently stuck in any of your head right now? I want to hear it. And if it's not a K-pop song, if it's, you know, Drake's Nice for Wet, I get that because that was stuck in my head for a couple of days. Speaking of which, why is everyone like tripping about the fact that Drake has a kid? I mean, I was thinking about it really critically. Savior by Shiny. Oh, that's a good one. You're my savior, treasure, butt crew. I'm sorry, somebody tweeted that and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's stuck in my head. Oh, Shine by Pentagon. That's a good one too. That's a good one too. So, Drake responded to Pusha T's diss track with his own diss track, and then Pusha T came back with a diss track talking about how Drake has a son with a stripper that he won't acknowledge. But this is my thought, and maybe it's because I'm biased, but why does Drake have to publicly put his son out there? And the reason I say that is because just because you have a famous parent doesn't mean that you're obligated to be a part of your parents' fame. So it may be for safety reasons or whatever else is why he doesn't decide to put his son out there publicly. But I just want to put that. It's raining. Ah, the comments they leave so fast. It's raining and the Star of the Stars by Snooper. I have to check those out because I haven't listened to much Snooper lately, so that'll have to be on my radar. But yeah, the first time I heard Savior, I did remember singing Butt Crew. And so it was funny that somebody put that on Twitter because I'm like, oh my gosh, that was in my mind. Anpanman by BTS. I like that song. I don't know how I feel about the whole Fetty Wap impression that they do on the song, but I do like that song. Holiday by SNSD. Oh man. When you get started singing that song, it does get stuck in your crowd. Ha, ha, holiday, ha, ha, holiday. Hee. Speaking of, is anyone here watching Suho's drama, Rich Man, Poor Woman? The opening theme to that is a song that sounds just like Holiday, but it's not Holiday. Wow You by Shiny. Oh, that's a great song. That is a great song. You. Oh, that's actually one of the only good songs on The Story of Us. The Story of Us was, of all of Shiny's discography, it is the part of their discography that I like the least. But yeah, You is probably one of the only great songs on there besides, of course, Ring Ding Dong. But everybody loves the rest of that album, but the auto-tune really put me off of The Story of Us. Unpopular Shiny opinion. Okay. JoJo. I know a lot of people like JoJo. Listen, JoJo has a beautiful message, but the melody for JoJo is kind of corny. I'll put it out there. As for Shiny, I've been listening to Sherlock and Married to the Music. Oh my gosh. Can I just tell you, when Married to the Music came out, that song was stuck in my head for a solid 5 to 6 months. A long time. A long time. I mean, even now, like, when I think of Married to Music, wait up, girl, hold on. So listen, baby. Jungin, I miss you. I miss you. So listen, baby. Oh. Married to the Music is their best video. Another unpopular opinion. Married to the Music is Shiny's best video. Absolutely. 100%. Fight me if you wanna. And it's their best video because Shiny was so big on Halloween. So that is important. The whole Michael Jackson component, like Tarian said. It just, everything about it was great. And then, you know, the bridge. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. It's so full of memes. And it was so compatible with Shiny's personality. Everything about that video was perfect. Perfect. There'll never be another. There'll never be another. It was just, it was campy, and that fits Shiny. That fits their aesthetic. That fits their vibe. It fits their personality. That was like, it was the best video they could ever make. Everybody's my favorite Shiny MV. Everybody's a good MV. More than everybody being a good MV, even though Married to the Music is Shiny's best music video in my opinion, everybody is their best album concept styling. Like, the actual mini album for everybody is hands down best mini album they've ever done, best styling. Like, this year's Met Gala might as well have been called Shiny's Everybody album. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely. What a great era. What a great era. And then, I mean, even though Everybody isn't the song that I would have promoted from that album, Symptoms, the album still had Symptoms, 1 minute back, Queen of New York, close the door. Ugh. What a time. What a time. Don't get me started talking about SHINee all day. I could be here all day talking about SHINee. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Oh, let's do another one of Jade's questions. Best disbanded group. List your options. I'll save mine for later because I feel a lot of us feel the same way, but favorite disbanded group. For a Minute, 2NE1, Kiss and Cry, 2NE1 hands down, OMG, 2 Minute in Black, 2NE1. Got too many. I want to say In Black, but I was gonna say thank you for saying it for me, Jazzy. It was never clear cut. Kara, Miss A, Wonder Girls. To be honest, Wonder Girls, 2NE1. I cannot choose. Okay, so my answer when I answered to Jade, I said 2NE1, and I think a lot of you would have predicted that. But then after I answered her, I realized that my answer should have been Sistar. It should have been Sistar. I just think that of all of the disbandments that happen, spiritually, I'm the most content with the way that Sistar disbanded. But I also feel like they were the group that had the most life left in them prior to disbandment. And that is not a super popular opinion to have, probably. I'm sure a lot of people feel like 2NE1 had a lot of life left, and they certainly did. I mean, you can hear it in Blackpink's discography. There was plenty of life left in 2NE1. But when it comes to Sistar, I feel like they just didn't have a lull. With 2NE1, there was the bomb scandal, and there were all these huge dips in between releases. Like, they would release something and then 15 years later they'd release something else. But with Sistar, consistent comebacks, popularity staying on strong. It just didn't seem to me like there was any reason for Sistar to disband. And because of that, I feel like there was just more there. There was more there. And maybe it's right what people say about you should go out on the top instead of like wimping out into like a whisper or whatever. But I don't know. I just feel like there was at least 2 more summers left in Sistar. Or at least 2 more summers. And since they have quit making music together, there hasn't been anybody else to fill that route. I can't name a single group who does what Sistar did. I think that maybe AOA is trying to prime themselves to be that Sistar. Yeah, I can't name. There's no. A CLC can imitate a 4 Minute. A Blackpink can kind of imitate a 2NE1. Who is Sistar? And that's the reason why I feel like there was just more there. Because when it came to the position that they occupied in music and societally, there isn't anybody who's doing that. There just isn't. And I miss it. I mean, because you could even argue that Twice is the new SNSD. You could argue that Red Velvet is the new Kara. Like, you can argue that there's all these groups that have replaced these other groups that have disbanded, but I just don't even, there's just no group with a similar sound, in my opinion. But I think that there is definitely a campaign. Thank you, Bella. I think there's a campaign for why all these groups are irreplaceable. I mean, yes, Blackpink can look and sound similar to a 2NE1, but Bomb had an unmatchable vocal, and CL had a maturity about herself that, frankly, Blackpink doesn't have, in my opinion. Um, and also, there's kind of an innocence that 2NE1 had that was not manufactured. It's very strange. When you look at a 2NE1 video, they are very, girl power and, who's the best, we're the best. But you look at Dara and like her face just totally reads like, I'm having the best time of my life. This is the greatest thing ever. I know I've got a pineapple on my head, but I don't care because I love the music. You can look at a Minji and she's like, I don't know what the concept is, but I'm just dancing my ass off. Better catch me if you can. You can look at a CL and she's like, I really don't have to do that much to prove to you I am the baddest bitch. I just basically have to open my mouth and let my words speak for themselves. You can look at Bomb and just how you can feel pain in her voice. Like her life's trials were in her voice. And so, yeah, I really like Blackpink. But the innocence they have feels like it's been glossed over with a pop sensibility veneer. Like it's a very Aegyo kind of innocence. Whereas 2NE1 is like, there's just no pretense. I guess that's the lack of pretense, the lack of polish. Yes, of course, you had Jeremy Scott really styling them up and everything else. But at the end of the day, 2NE1 came in like no one had ever seen, and they're gonna leave like no one had ever seen, and you can't replace that. You can't replace that, and I will miss it. I will miss it for a long time. Take a group like 4Minute. It's really unfortunate that 4Minute is kind of boiled down to their last few comebacks and Yuna. But prior to that, 4Minute did something that I don't think even 2NE1 could do. And that's with 4Minute, they gave you that kind of girl power feel that you got from a 2NE1. But 4Minute also gave off I'm a very approachable, likable girl. I'm still into dating. I'm still into guys. I'm still into, doing what other girls do. But at the same time, I just have a lot of confidence in myself. And with 2NE1, maybe it's because of the way the lyrics are written, it always seemed like the message was, I'm really awesome. No one can be as awesome as me. And fuck these boys. They're no good. Whereas with 4Minute, they're kind of like, yeah, I'm pretty awesome. I'm pretty great. But, I still wouldn't mind having a boyfriend. And, sometimes I'm insecure about my relationship with my boyfriend because he stays out at night and he doesn't necessarily call. And, I'm confident in myself, but still, where the hell are you? Why aren't you calling? That kind of thing. And I think that's really cool. I think that's something that I would like to see more of in K-pop, and that's not really there. And I think Cube made a mistake boiling 4Minute down to Yuna because, yes, Bubble Pop really pushed it out there, but the other girls in 4Minute, they had good things going, and I think that Cube should have kept the group together and made that work. But, Cube got bought by a Chinese company, so what can he do? I look at Wonder Girls, and I think it was time. I think Wonder Girls' disbandment, even though their disbandment to me seemed silly because they had just gotten off of one of the biggest songs in their career at home. At the same time, you have to think about how grown Wonder Girls were. And I think that for them, it was time for them to pursue the things that they hadn't had a chance to pursue for years, trying to stay under the Wonder Girls umbrella. You get Heartfelt coming back with a sound that is her own. Like nothing sounds like her. It's not a super poppy sound, but it's definitely something that when you listen to it, it sounds very, very true to her. And then, you know, Lim, like I said, has gone back to college. You have Yubin's fixing to come out with something amazing. And then look at Sunmi with Gashina and Heroine. It is like, wow, guys, you're really doing the damn thing. Sohee constantly being able to book acting roles, even though she is one of the driest actresses on the face of the planet. But apparently her face sells because that girl books it. She books. She really does. And I think that, you know, it was just time to kind of put that phase of their career to bed and become the women that the Wonder Girls allowed them to become. So even though I would have preferred Why So Lonely to have been framed as their farewell and all of the accoutrement be for that particular thing, at the same time, I can't necessarily say I'm mad about Wonder Girls disbanding because, like I said, the entire trajectory of the Wonder Girls was to get these women to this point in their life where they could then explore everything else that the entertainment universe had to offer them. So I think that it was time for them. Kara, I really don't want to talk too much about Kara's disbandment because they weren't one of the groups that I invested a lot in. But I will say this, theirs is definitely an example of what happens when your company isn't taking care of business. I really truly think if Kara's company had been taking care of business and taking care of their artists and giving them the opportunities to grow healthily, that Kara would still be together because the girls themselves haven't really exited the entertainment industry. You know, I mean, there's definitely a little bit of pullback from certain people. You don't really hear from them as much, but they all kind of left Kara, but still do things that indicate that they still want to be a part of music, acting, all these other things. I just think that the company, DSP, really didn't support their growth the way that they should have. And because of that, they had to go on to other things. And that's what they did. And I hope that DSP learned a lesson and that they'll treat Card better. I hope that DSP learned a lesson and they kind of reevaluate what they're doing with April. You know, and I know that they're not technically disbanded, but when you've got all the members to the wind, what else would you call it? I mean, they're like NSYNC basically. NSYNC never disbanded, but they went on an indefinite forever hiatus. So I don't know what the difference is. I really don't know. Okay, so let us talk about another one of Jade's questions. Because again, like I said, simple questions should have simple answers, but it takes a lot of thought. Jade asked, best boy group, best girl group. This one should be easy for everybody. You already know my answers. If you don't know, now you know. Only choose active groups. So I'll let you guys answer and then I'll say what my answers are. But there's not a lot of explanation needed for my answers because they are what they are. Best boy group. Yes, I know who your faves are, Tarian. Okay. Big bang. Big bow. Don't stop. FX, but you said active. Oh. I see a lot of faves saying SHINee for the win. Got you, got you. Yeah, of course my favorite boy group was SHINee. I mean, come on. Let's be real here. Let's be real. Monsta X is a good one. Dreamcatcher is a good choice. Luna is a great choice. FX, Nine Muses, those are all great choices. I like them. I like them a lot. SHINee was my choice for active boy group because, I mean, my heart. Girl group, Essie, you and I were thinking alike. Red Velvet was my top girl group. Perfect Velvet was perfect to me. Like that album, 10 out of 10 would buy again. I cannot believe that SM pulled that off and then pulled off Bad Boy. I I I still can't believe that that happened. It really is like SM asked somebody in my family like, "Hey, I heard Samantha's a fan of R&B. What album could we make that she would really like, but still capture the essence of the Red style of Red Velvet?" And they're like, "Oh, we'll do this Perfect Velvet thing, and that'll work." And I'm like, "Yes, absolutely, absolutely." Girls' Generation and BTS, but I'm being biased. Hey, we're all allowed to be biased. I'm biased. There's a lot of people who would not say Shiny is their favorite, but I would because, of course, I'm Shallow 360. What else am I going to do? Twice is a great choice as well. Twice has really come into their own these last few years, and they are the nation's girl group at this point. Fight me if you want it, but when it comes to like groups that, you know, men, women, and children can enjoy, I think it's Twice. I really, really do. I do. Now, for those who noticed that I kind of sidestepped Big Bang a little bit, one of the questions was favorite senior boy group, favorite senior girl group. When it came to senior groups, of course, I had to go with Big Bang for my senior boy group. Because, I mean, my gosh, the discography. The discography. When it came to girl groups, even though they're not my fave, I still chose SNSD. Even though I was kind of worried about that because I was like, they're not really that active right now. I chose SNSD because even without them being active right now, the discography again is just, well, I guess I would say senior because they're second generation as opposed to third generation, and also they're not currently promoting that much right now. Because I thought about Super Junior because I really like Lo Siento, but Big Bang, Big Bang because even though they, we can go SNS if you SES if you want to. I mean, I'm not gonna stop you. TVXQ wouldn't be a bad choice either, but I would say 10 years or more in the game. I think that's the criteria. 10 years or more in the game. Shiny being the baby, 10 years or more in the game. SNSD because All Night was a great song. I really, really liked it. I feel like SNSD continued to come out with title songs that stayed relevant and beautiful and lovely. Um, I picked Big Bang because from day one, they've just grown and grown and grown and grown. And even to Flower Road, they just haven't fallen off for me in terms of output. So, yeah, Big Bang and SNSD for me. TVXQ is a great choice as well. I really like TVXQ. I like them quite a bit. Um, would you listen to SOS by Damash and give me your take on it? I'll have to listen to it when I'm off of the live stream because I watch all of my YouTube videos on my phone and I'm using my phone to film. So that's what I'd have to do. TVXQ is an amazing choice just because like the longevity and the stellar hits in their discography. I mean, what would K-pop be without a Neurotic? What would K-pop be without Love in the Ice? What would K-pop be without Before You Go? That song. You know, I'm actually kind of mad at SM a little bit because as much as I like Before You Go, and I really, really like Before You Go, I think Before You Go actually is my favorite TVXQ song. Really, really and truly. But as much as I like it, and I do have the album that it's on, I'm really mad at SM because I don't think they ever released the remix from the dance version of that song. And that remix is everything. It's everything. There's 3 versions of that song, like MVs. There's the regular Before You Go, then there's the long form dramatic one, which still doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And then there is the dance performance. And the dance performance one in the white suits. Slow it down, slow it down, slow down. Oh gosh, I'm having a moment. I'm sorry. When I get off of here, I'm gonna have to watch it because it's so good. It's so good. It's my favorite TJXQ song. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just love it. It's the best thing ever. And nothing that JYJ has done has affected me the way that that song has. Even though I really liked Backseat. I thought Backseat was a cool song. Put you in my backseat. My backseat. It was weird, but it was still really cool. Okay, I see what you're asking me, but I think I mentioned just a moment ago that the only way I could watch it is if I was to turn off the live stream, and I'm not going to do that right now. But I will check it out in my free time. Thank you. But yeah, oh, just thinking about that video makes you smile. Love that freaking video. Oh, let me ask you guys a question. Wasn't on Jade's list, but let's all just put that out there. Name a video that you, oh, thank you, that you love from a group that maybe you don't necessarily like everything that they've done. Like a group that you like them okay, but there's that one video that you're like, man, that right there was a killer. That's the one. I would love to hear from you guys because I think sometimes we lose sight of groups because we're like, oh, they haven't always been this or they haven't always been that. But we need to give people their flowers while they're here. And let's acknowledge like some really awesome moments from some groups that maybe the rest of what they did didn't impact us as much. I think it's important to look at those things. Shooting Love by LaBoom. Okay, cool. LaBoom is a group that I haven't really been following, but I feel like I've heard that song before and it was okay. So that's a good one. Teen Top, Be My Girl. Shine by Pentagon. I mentioned earlier that I really like Shine by Pentagon, so it's a great choice. Let's see. This group I talked extensively about earlier in the chat, but I'm just going to put this out there. Whenever I think of VIXX, and I know you guys are going to think I'm going to say one thing, but I'm going to say another. Whenever I think of VIXX, I always go back to the video for Error. I just think that that video is fantastic. Tarantella Gra is a good one too. I like that video. The whole Harry Potter vibe, really cool. BAP songs in the beginning, yes. Warrior, great. Error made me cry, LOL. That's one of those ones that, like I say, if you can't get with VIXX's entire discography, I feel like Error is one of those songs / videos that was just a perfect amalgamation of every element you need to make a classic. I like Marilyn Manson. Okay. It's been a long time since I paid attention to any Marilyn Manson music, so I can't say too much about it, to be honest with you. He did a cover of Eurythmics' Sweet Dreams. That's what I remember from him. Any Orange Caramel MV. Yes, Orange Caramel definitely had some perfect MV song kind of reactions. I think probably in unpopular choice, my favorite Orange Caramel music video is for Funny Honey. I love that music video, and none of the members of Orange Caramel are in that video, but it's a cartoon video, and I love it to bits and pieces. My funny honey, I love you. Oh, I love that one. VIXX's Voodoo Doll. VIXX's Voodoo Doll is actually... Trigger warning should be on the front of that video, but that's actually a pretty good choice for VIXX. I like that one too. Another song from a group where I really didn't dig the group, but I dig the video. Oh, classic choice. Perfect. K. Will's Please Don't. I'm not the biggest K Will fan. I don't follow his career like that. I enjoy the sound of his voice, and if he pops up in the background, I'm not mad. I'll listen to it. But Please Don't will forever stand out as that song and that video. Like, it just, I can't even think of a single thing I would change about any of that. It is perfect. And so, like, whether you've heard of K Will before you watch that video, and whether you've ever listened to anything by him again, that just is the thing. It matches. Typo Negative Christian Woman. Never heard that. I'll have to look that one up. I'm gonna have to write a list of things that John keeps recommending, because a lot of this stuff I've never heard of before. I would say Twice, What Is Love? I thought the video was really cute, but I'm not too big on Twice themselves apart from their singles. If I had to pick that song from Twice, I definitely would pick TT. Like, to me, that is the height of Twice's, like, everything came together perfectly. Because I remember the first song, Ooh Ah, I was on the fence about it. I thought that the zombie thing was really cute. But it just didn't really, it was a cute song. I guess I'll put it that way. It was cute. The whole thing was cute. But TT was that song where I was like, hey, this is a bop. Yay. You know, so I really, TT for me just brought everything together. Cute video, great song, cute choreography, totally an earworm. Like, I really like TT. So that would be my choice for Twice. Like, it's that video. If you don't like the rest of what Twice has done, we almost all agree that that's the one. Good slow kissing songs recommendation. Good slow kissing songs. Okay, so just to give you an idea of like what an aromantic person I am at this moment, I actually don't ever, and I never have in my life, kissed, made out, whatever to music. Because I can't concentrate on the music if I'm concentrating on the person. So it really wouldn't matter what was playing in the background, because I'm concentrating on the person and what we're doing. So I can't think of any good kissing songs. Sorry. The music sets the mood. Not really. I mean, I've gotten in the mood in the middle of restaurants, and the music just didn't really do it for me. I do like Sade. I actually really like Sade. I have her Greatest Hits album. There's a lot of great songs on that. I know probably a lot of the room right here doesn't listen to Sade, but if you do listen to Sade, her Greatest Hits album, there is a song called Nothing Can Come Between Us. It's one of my favorite songs ever. And it's really, I think the guitar makes that song for me. It's just got a really cool lick to it. But yeah, that is my favorite. Oh, your dad was obsessed with her? Well, Sade is one to be obsessed with. I love Sade. But yeah, Nothing Can Come Between Us by Sade is one of my favorite songs of all time. And definitely, it sets a mood. But if I was being romantic with somebody, like I said, I forget everything else that's going on in the background, and it's all about me and that individual. So it doesn't really... Smooth Operator is amazing. Smooth Operator is a great song. I love that one too. And there's another song by her called Kiss of Life. I really like that song. It's got a really nice jazz piano and saxophone to it. It's definitely an old lady love song, but I dig it. It's my jam. It's my jam. But yeah, there you go. That's my choices, I guess, if I have to choose from Sade. I know a lot of you in the room, like I said, probably don't even listen to Sade, but that's what I go for. But back to music videos that are like that video for that group. Somebody Already Broke My Heart. That's a nice one too. That was a good album. My mom liked Soldier of Love off of that album, which I was like, okay. But that's because my mom is also bitter too, so she likes that kind of stuff. Her favorite line is the part, I've lost the use of my heart, but I'm still alive. Like, Mom, you're so dark. And she's like, yeah, I know. what can I say? She's my mom. I didn't turn out like this by accident. But let's see. Looking at my discography over here, all these different ones. Thank you. With Big Bang, that video. Fantastic Baby. Even though Bang 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 came out and all the other songs, it's always going to be Fantastic Baby. It's this the icon for them. Same way that I'm the Best is the icon for 21, even though I think probably my favorite music video from them will always be I Love You. Because it's just, visually I think I Love You was stronger than I'm the Best, even though I'm the Best, of course, is the more iconic of the two songs. I just, anytime I hear I Love You, I'm never going to turn away from it. It just always is going to work for me. So that's where I'm headed with that. Those are my options for that. Let's see, another EXO. Oh gosh. Loser's a good one. Loser's a good one, but I don't feel like the video for Loser is as iconic as Fantastic Baby. So I think we agree on icon. That's the one. But I was just looking at EXO, and perhaps not popular. Stop it, not Wolf. Call Me Baby. I feel like Call Me Baby was like the height of EXO's perfection for me. Because, thank you, Essie. That video I could watch over and over again. Unlike Monster, like I really, if I had to choose between the two songs, Call Me Baby for me is not as strong audibly as Monster. I think Monster makes a much stronger impact when you hear it. But Call Me Baby, video-wise, I think is just, man, highest point EXO. Like, there wasn't anybody that could touch him at that point. Like, they really were those dudes in that video. Even like just from the way the freaking video opened up with them with the headphones sitting on top of the cars, you know, it just, everything worked. And the breakdown for the bridge for that song, and like the fact that it was almost like a one shot, but like a very playful vibe to it. I really, really like it. I really like it a lot. But yeah, like in terms of sound wise, Monster is my favorite. Oh, Mama's a good one. Mama's a good one. And Monster is my favorite just because like it has such a strong sound that, you know, I'm creeping in your heart, but oh gosh, what a sound. What a sound. And also, I really like that album, the Exact album. I actually really like quite a bit. I was not as big a fan of the Lotta repackage, but definitely Exact was spot on. But yeah, I think that there's always, like I said, even if you don't get down with the rest of this discography, there's always that one thing that stands out and you're like, yep, that right there, that was the hit. That was the one. The one. The one. Oh my gosh, that was the one. J-U-A-N, the one. Let's see. I'm looking at some more here. They're so far away from me and I'm so blind I can't see anything. GOT7, what was that one for them? You know, even though GOT7, this wasn't my favorite song by them, Just Right. I think Just Right is the iconic song plus video for me for GOT7. Because I just don't think that GOT7 ever did anything that like was that as perfectly synced. I thought that Fly was really good. I like the song for Fly a lot. I thought the video was lackluster. I really liked If You Do. I thought that was great. Like, you know, just the way that the song was written, even the little kind of shuffle dance that they did with the hands in the pockets. But the video again, not that good for me. And I hated that girl's voice that, I'm just gonna go to bed. Who was that girl? And why was she like that? I don't understand. But if you do, great song. But just right, concept wise, matching with the song was so nice. Was so nice. And even though it's not my favorite song, like when I hear that song, I think of that video. When I see pictures from that era, I think of that song. Like that. So if you do, I mean, you could probably show me a still photo from the If You Do era, and I probably would not necessarily think of the song right away. But like if I hear the song, I think of the video for sure. So that's what I would go with. That's what I would go with. Oh my gosh, a hard choice, SHINee. That video for SHINee. Putting my personal bias aside, because my personal bias is married to the music. Sherlock is the one. I didn't even have to think about it that hard. It's Sherlock. If you see a still shot from Sherlock, you automatically think SHINee's back. Like it just, if you hear SHINee's back. I remember hearing Spoiler and thinking, did they put Sherlock on this new album? Like, that's what I mean. Like, it's just, they can do whatever they do, but if I had to put a SHINee MV song on the CD that goes to the alien race so that they'll know what our culture was about, Sherlock is the one. Because it is what it is. It's Sherlock, Jessica's in the video. The video was so weird. The choreography, Jongin doing the eye and Taemin and the hair extensions. Soyeon Dorito. Sherlock. Because Lucifer is good. Lucifer is very good. But if I was going to put Lucifer in the time capsule, I wouldn't even put the video on there. I would put the dance practice for Lucifer on the time capsule. That would be the one. Like if I had to send one into space, it would be the Lucifer dance practice with Taemin and the Dizzy Eye shirt against the SM Cloud background. That would be what I would send out if I had to choose a form of Lucifer to send out into the world. Because that song was not done justice by the video at all. Not by the Korean version of the video and not even by the Japanese version of the video. But that dance practice is everything. Everything. But yeah, Sherlock is just like, I'm so glad Taemin doesn't do long hair anymore. I don't have a problem with Taemin's long hair, really. I think that Taemin hasn't had long hair that made sense a lot of the time. That's what I think has been the issue. Because when Taemin had like the super long layers, it was kind of like, this feels weird. Like when you look at the pictures from Sherlock with the super long layers, it's kind of like, what are we doing with this? Like, what is this supposed to be? Because I think it was supposed to play on androgynous, but it didn't read androgynous at all. It read extremely like female energy, but it didn't feel like Taemin was comfortable. So that's why I kind of felt like, what are we doing here? Because it doesn't look like this is his vibe. But when they would pin his hair up with the long hair, I was like, okay, well that kind of seems more manageable. That kind of seems more doable. But then Taemin did the promotion for Ace, and he had longer hair, and I thought that look actually worked. It was a grow out of a bowl cut, obviously, but I thought that look actually worked a lot for him in a longer way. And I think that probably had he grown that out a little bit more and shaped it a bit different, they just slapped all these hair extensions on him and said, there you go. So, yeah. That's why I say it. Okay, what's going on? But my internet is being a total jerk. And what's really weird is like, not only is my internet being a total jerk, but it wouldn't let me back into the stream. So I'm only on here that way. Like, if I save this chat, it doesn't just end on like a. But I do want to like just kind of round it out, round it out. But yeah, I tried to get on back on for a while. I kept trying to get it to go, and it was just like, no, you can't get back online because we hate you. I'm telling you, YouTube doesn't like me. I don't know if it's because I say mean things about them or what, but YouTube does not like me at all. Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to talk about, but I didn't talk about it because I forgot about it because it was forgettable. J Park Soju. That's my opinion. Feel free to expound on that. You know, it really pisses me off. You know what pisses me off? It pisses me off because here you have a moment in time where, you know, you got BTS, #1 album in the country, top 10, Billboard, everything like that. And you have someone who is a native English speaker who has resources at his fingertips to produce something that's very Western friendly. And he comes up with this super boring, super basic soju. I just got paid, all my bills paid, my fist to get lit off the soju. I'm so disappointed in him. I'm so disappointed in him. Like, I would have even been cool if he did the English language version of Mome. That would have been pretty awesome. But it was so unimaginative. Not only that, but he's coming out as a rapper when high key that has never been his top talent. Like, of all the things that Mr. Park can do, rapper never been the top talent ever, 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 ever. And you can fight me if you want to. His top talent has always been his dancing and his singing. Dancing may be even above his singing because his singing definitely is an acquired taste, but rapper, my guy, rapper. That's what we're coming out as. Like, here I am with all these tools in my bag, and I could pull out a chainsaw, I could pull out a automatic drill. Instead, I pull out my IKEA Allen wrench. Why? Why would you do that? And I really like J Park. I really do. But why? It was so forgettable. And then he's got Rock Nation behind him. You would think that with Rock Nation behind him, at the very least, they would try to find a way to get him a decent collab. They got him a 2 Chainz collab. And the 2 Chainz collab, I can't even remember the last independent hit that 2 Chainz has had. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't get it. It's just dumb. It's dumb. It's a dumb move. It's a dumb move. They would have done better, in my opinion, if Jay-Z had taken Rock Nation and made a deal with the people who were organizing BTS's concert tour and made Jay the opening act for BTS. That would have been a much wiser use of your money. Much better use of your money. Because I feel like this release reminds me a lot of CL's Get Lifted, which was another dud. And Unpopular opinion for some, but yeah, dud. I don't really keep up with Jay-Z's music like that because I mean his wife completely overshadows him in my opinion. But I still am never gonna be happy about what happened with Get Lifted. I would have never sunk money behind that single, I'll put it that way. I would have never sunk a full music video's worth of money behind that particular song. You can like it if you want to, but facts is facts. Uh she would have done better having Hello Bitches be the one to sink the money behind instead of Get Lifted. I really do. I mean, Hello Bitches at the very least capitalized on the fact that she was a bilingual artist. It had a very catchy sound to it. And to me, that particular song displayed more of her personality than Get Lifted did. Get Lifted, it made her seem like I'm cool enough to hang with the black kids. Whereas Hello Bitches, like, in case you didn't know already, I'm like a huge deal everywhere except for here. You should get to know me. You should get on this wave. So we'll see what happens. But I'm telling you now, if this new song, whatever, doesn't pop off, you might as well go ahead and play the funeral dirge for CL's US career because it's not gonna happen. You can't keep releasing the. They gave her such a push. They put her on James Corden. They had her do a bunch of interviews. They had her do a bunch of cosmetic endorsements. It didn't work. So that's why I'm saying this next one's got to be the best. Everyone has braces and braids. I mean, there's nothing wrong with braids, nothing wrong with braces. I just feel like when you're an artist who has a very distinct brand, I don't necessarily think it's a good idea to water down your brand or significantly alter your brand because you're entering a new market. Other than maybe making a language change, that's all I would really recommend because there's a reason why your core audience got you to the point where you can think about expanding your territory. Is because something that you were doing from the beginning worked. And trying to reinvent yourself as someone totally different in another market, I just think it's dumb. I think it's dumb because that's not you and that's not who your fans came to see. So you're losing on both ends. You know, if I paid to go to a CL concert and she's like, I'm going to do an hour of James Taylor's greatest hits, I would be incensed. I would immediately turn around and ask for my money back because I didn't come for James Taylor's greatest hits. I came for CL of 2NE1. And another thing that I found kind of awkward, but this is probably a more sensitive topic for her. The drug illusions in Lifted, I found awkward because I don't think that she would ever do that in Korea. And it was very blatant what the illusions were. But there was also some allusion in Hello Bitches and Dr. Pepper to the fact that women really enjoyed her company. And I feel like a part of that was in Gijibe, but not a lot of it. I mean, it was pretty obvious with her talking about, you know, Kami Uni and then the man suit thing, but never really confirmed. And that was one of those things that I was like, you know, I get you're trying to introduce a new facet of yourself. And do you want to take this bag with you when you go back? Also, let's just talk about the biggest for the Olympics. The Olympics, one of the biggest stages on earth, and you have no new material to promote. What? Why would you book CL on one of the biggest stages in the world, knowing that she's been trying to break into the US and you don't have a single on deck? I don't understand it. I'll never understand it. And I'm still completely frustrated by it. Makes no sense at all. None at all. But, you know, life is what it is. But I just feel like that was the dumbest lack of a PR move I've ever seen. Ever seen. Because at the very least, if somebody saw her on the Olympics and like, hey, that girl's pretty fly, I'd like to know more about her. If you go look her up on YouTube and you go like, well, oh, this is the most recent release by her, let me check that out. That's an opportunity there. That's an opportunity. And I don't own a multi-million-dollar record company, so I mean, take my advice for nothing, but I just don't understand why you wouldn't let those things coincide. Her Olympics performance may not have been her best performance, but it was a performance that millions of people watched. Millions of people. If millions of people are watching anything, that's a chance for you to promote yourself. So why wouldn't you try? I would. I would try. You know, I ain't got nothing to sell, but I would try. Doesn't make any sense to me. Like, hell, if I had a video go viral, I'd be like, here's my SoundCloud link. Whatever. I figure out something to do. Mm-hmm. Anybody else got anything that we should talk about that I missed? I feel like I missed a couple of big subjects that have been in the news maybe, but I don't know. Oh, Bomb had her tell-all interview, and it did absolutely nothing to get people off her back. Because, you know, when you're a woman, you make one mistake and it's curtains. If you're a guy, you beat the shit out your girlfriend, and people still want to give you a second chance. Only in Korea. Well, I shouldn't say only in Korea. There's probably a lot of places where I like that too, but still. I'm excited about Luna YYXY's debut. Kind of. I just want Luna the group to debut. Like that's my thing. Like, when is Luna gonna come out with an album? Because, you know, I was kind of excited about Luna for a hot minute, but then I was thinking about like all the effort it takes to try to keep up with them and how long people have been doing this for them still not to be considered debuted. And it's just like, you know, that's a real letdown. It's a real letdown. It's a real letdown that for a year and a half just about we've been doing Luna things and we still don't have the whole squad. And also, it kind of worries me too, because like when they come out as the full Luna, they need to be selling, because these girls have run up a ton of debt behind this. A ton of debt. Like, they've been flying them to freaking the Arctic Circle, Kathmandu, the Amazonian jungles. There's not a place on this earth them girls haven't been. Your money, because she's dating Elon Musk from Tesla, so you know her bills are paid. But somehow or another, they managed to get her. So even though they keep them in that same clueless plaid outfit, but whatever. So yeah, Grimes is like a electronic indie artist. hard to describe her sound, man. I mean, it reminds me a lot of Imogen Heap. That sound, that kind of that very. You ready for one? I want to release something to grab my attention. I want. I tried to get into energetic and didn't work, and then I tried to get into whatever came out of after that, and just nothing stuck. I'm sorry. I really do think 101 was one of those groups that you had to watch the show. Sorry, I really had to watch the show because if you notice, people aren't really talking about New East W much anymore, and I think it's because the excitement that people had about New East, it was linked to the show. And now that the show's kind of out of the way and everybody's faves are doing extended promotions, people don't really care about the side guys. So yeah, they're not really being talked about like that, which is unfortunate. That's nice. So we'll see, but just nothing that 101 has done has grabbed me. But it's the same with SF9. A lot of people like SF9. Nothing they've done has grabbed me so far. I don't know. I think I just need either more time, or I need to encounter these groups under different circumstances. That might be what it is. Because when I try to watch the video for 101, the videos are very distracting for me, and I think it interferes with my enjoyment of the music. But like with Stray Kids, I did not like Elevator. I heard District 9 on my Spotify. Then I heard another song by them on my Spotify. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I like that. But some of these music videos, like, I don't know if they're made for kids with ADD or whatever, but there's just all this stuff going on. It was so distracting, and I just can't. So, gun around, like, they didn't know what guns were. So they were just like, that's a gun. And then the next video was terrible as well. Gun around, like they didn't know what guns were. So they were just like, that's a gun. It really took them doing Hero just on a plain rooftop dancing to make me. Ugh. Bye, Lunatic Dream. I'm glad you had fun. I promise I won't delete this if you want to watch the rest of it later on. But yeah, I don't know what it is about busy videos, but when there's like a lot of different camera angles and different scenes and switching from face to face to face to face to face, it's hard for me. Like, a video I have not watched to this day because I didn't want to hate the song. Don't Want to Cry by 17. I've never watched that video. Never. And I didn't watch the video because in the past I've liked 17 songs and then I watch the video and it fucks me up. So I just gotten now to where I can't watch their videos. Like, I like the song, thanks, cannot watch the video. There's also the song with all the leaders. Can't remember the song. Like the song, never watched the video. I cannot watch 17's videos. They confuse my eyes and hurt my head. But the songs are not bad at all. Under the right context, if you're just driving in the car or sitting on the train or waiting between classes or eating your lunch and need something to play in the background, 17 is actually a really great choice. But their videos just, I can't. Trying to think, what's some other? Pop Confession. A video I have never watched. I've never watched the video Lotto by EXO. never. And I don't like the song for Lotto, so I didn't feel inclined to watch the video. I've never watched the video for Lotto. Never, never, never. Um, I have never watched the full video for The Power because when I started to watch it, I could immediately tell that I was about to get sick because of all the colors and everything else. So I had to turn it off. I couldn't watch it all the way through, and I still haven't watched it all the way through. The power, power. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the song, but I've never watched the video all the way through. But I've never watched the video at all for Lotto. Not once. I saw the thumbnail with like Dio's face looking crazy, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good on that one. That one can stay home. And then I've watched Coco Bop in bits and pieces. I think I only watched it all the way through one time, but again, it was one of those things where I was trying to enjoy the song and the video was distracting, so I had to leave the video alone. And that happens to me a lot. It happens to me a lot more now than it used to happen to me before. But I've gotten to a point now where I can't hardly watch certain videos because there's just too much going on. Like, oh gosh, what's her name? Moonbyul from Mama Moo. Is she the one that did the song with Silgi from Red Velvet, Selfish? I like the song. I really do. The end of that video, I have to turn the video off. It's with the where they're in the little cars and the little, they're in the parking garage or whatever. I don't know if it's because of all the different cuts that are in the edit. It confuses my mind. I can't watch it. I can't watch it. It's just, it's painful. It's painful. And like SHINee's new song, Good Evening, I really like the song, but it's cut a lot. And I think it's cut a lot to kind of give that sense of mystery to it. But it's distracting. It is distracting. And I listened to that song quite a bit. I've only watched the video like maybe 5 or 6 times. And I watched it 5 or 6 times because I was trying to catch kind of everything that was going on. But once I caught enough of it, I turned it off. And I just stuck with listening to it over and over because it was just very difficult for me because there was so much going on. I think I would like to see a renaissance of like just played straight through videos. That would be nice. Like some videos with some real storytelling that don't require a bunch of cuts and edits. That would be lovely. You know, but I know why a lot of the cuts and edits happen with most music videos is because you have a team of about 50 people in the video and they're trying to make sure that everybody gets a face shot in the video. So people are like, oh, there's my bias. But you know, take a group like 17 where again you've got a small army on set and you can get dizzy trying to make sure that everybody gets a face shot and that you also get a shot of the choreography, plus you get a shot of whatever actress is the one girl that everybody in the group is following after, and it gets to be too much. It's information overload. So yeah, I'm having to kind of get away from videos in order to be able to enjoy songs again, because it really, it bothers my eyes to watch it a lot. I can't think of anything else that I need to talk about, guys. I guess I should go now, unless there's something else that I should address that I haven't. I feel like I've addressed a lot. I mean, we've been on here now for close to 3 hours, so this is not a small chat, this is a big chat. But yeah, I can't think of anything else that I missed talking about in terms of like comebacks and other things. I I can't think of anything else. So if you guys can't think of anything else, then I guess we should call it a night. Um, Thank you, Jade, for letting me use some of your questions. I have no idea what video you're going to be making, but whatever it is, I look forward to seeing it when it comes out. Because you asked a lot of people for their answers, so I'm not sure if it's a poll or if it's a discussion video. I don't know. I don't know. So I look forward to seeing what happens with that. And I look forward to coming back and doing another live broadcast after the next SHINee album comes out, because I'm always going to want to talk about it, because, you know, it's my bias group. Also, it's really actually been quite nice to have SHINee come back. I meant to talk about that in brief, because I don't have much to say on it, but it's been nice having SHINee come back, because it meant that Taemin Jeongi came back, and even though they've had some things that they needed to settle with each other before they could come back, I did miss their friendship through YouTube, like watching their friendship through YouTube. So it's nice that this brought them back. And also JRE did a reaction to SHINee, and I feel like it's been a while since he's had a real genuine is not even the word. It's been a while since he's had a reaction that kind of touched him in a special place in terms of his heart, and it was nice that that happened for him. Seems like right when that happened, he went on like an uploading spree. But yeah, it was just really nice to see like SHINee kind of pull that out of him, because I think that's what they do for a lot of people. Like they touch that place that's just soft and warm and wonderful, and I'm glad that they're doing that for people that have been maybe a little bit lost in the last few months. So it's nice to see them kind of giving people their spark back, giving them their joy back. And I know it gives me that. It definitely gives me that. But it has been really comforting to see them give that to other people. Even the people who maybe weren't the biggest Shawwals, but just kind of enjoyed SHINee. It's been nice to watch them, you know, get that feeling again. You know, definitely there are moments where you're waiting for Jonghyun's ad lib, or you're waiting for his high note, or, you know, any of the stuff that's him. But at the end of the day, SHINee is 5, and in his physical absence, the spirit of that 5 is very present in these songs. And so it shouldn't be surprising that they give people that special feeling, because SHINee just has a way of giving people that special feeling. So it's really nice to see them bringing back that niche that only they have. Oh, random. Okay, so the fox supposedly represents a character from The Little Prince, and they said that Onew is the Little Prince in the video, so take that for whatever you want, but that's kind of the theory that's going around. There's a guy who is a songwriter. His name is Curtis Richardson, I think. He's all over SHINee Twitter. All over SHINee Twitter. Because he's a songwriter, a producer, and he's written for SHINee before, and he helped to write Jump on this last album. Older gentleman. So I'm scrolling through Twitter, minding my own business, looking at my timeline, and I see a tweet from this guy Curtis Richardson about SHINee, because he's been tweeting about SHINee nonstop for months. I see a tweet from him, and you know how sometimes when there's a tweet, it'll show you like who follows this person or who retweeted this. No kidding, no lie. On my timeline, where it showed this guy, Curtis Richardson's profile picture, and then it shows like his tweet, right above it, in like faded out gray, it said, Barack Obama follows. And I was like, huh? I have no idea what the connection is between this Curtis Richardson guy and Barack Obama, but I clicked the little gray thing to be like, is it somebody whose Twitter name is Barack Obama, but like not really the former president of the United States? No, sir, no, ma'am. It is the real Barack Obama, follows this music producer songwriter for SHINee. And like, all the memes for sure about Obama being a shawwal, but I'm getting like high key think this might be real because it is such a strange. I have no idea where this connection comes from. I don't know if it's like a Chicago connection or something else. But yeah, this guy who wrote this song for SHINee for Jump is followed by the former president of the United States who mentioned SHINee when he went to Korea. And I can't help but think that there are no coincidences here. So either he knew this guy and the guy's like, oh, I heard you're going to Korea, you know, give a shout out to my dudes while you're there. Or Obama really is a shawwal and he's like down for the cause and following shawwals and he's in the mix. I don't know. But listen, if President Barack Obama wants this new SHINee album and he can't get a hold of it, contact me. I will send you a copy because, you know, I like you. So I would definitely send you a copy if you can't get a hold of one yourself. But yeah, strange. If you don't believe me, if you think I'm lying, go on my Twitters and find out for yourself. But yeah, man. I started following Curtis just because Barack was. I'm like, okay, well, you know, if you're good enough for the President of the United States, former President of the United States, let me get it right. If you're good enough for the former President of the United States to follow, I definitely could lower myself to following you, for sure. For sure. I mean, the guy tweets a lot. He tweets a lot. He is a promotion machine when it comes to SHINee. But at the end of the day, I think his heart is in the right place. I think he really likes the guys and he really wants to see them do well. And he tweeted a lot about SHINee during their last comeback. So it's not like this just began because he started working on this project. It looks like he's worked with them several times in the past. So he's got a relationship there. So yeah, I very much have enjoyed watching him promote the boys. And he's been kind of, I don't want to say elusive, but people have asked him because they know that he's worked on the project, like, are we going to hear Jonghyun's voice on the project? And he's been like, you never know what'll happen. You got to wait and see. And, you know, I don't know if it's a thing to like, he's not privy to say or he's not exactly sure. But I kind of wish that he wouldn't even answer people when they ask that if he doesn't know for sure. Because, I don't know, things are still kind of tough. Definitely, I think I've muted enough people at this point to where my timeline has been a pretty safe zone. But there's still a lot of Jonghyun trauma out there. So I like to avoid that as much as possible. So unless something is like absolutely confirmed, I hope that people won't try to advertise involvement that may necessarily not even be there. Because I think it builds people up and then they're let down and they get upset and there could be a backlash there. So unless something is concrete, I would prefer for it not to be alluded to and then people are hurt all over again, you know? I personally am hoping that this project has some very tangible physical manifestations of Jong Yin. Like, I didn't see where there were any writing credits for Jong Yin in episode 1, but we're only in episode 1. We haven't gotten to 2 and 3. So I'm hoping that maybe with 2 and 3 we'll see a songwriting credit, or perhaps we will see a background vocal credit, you know, somewhere in there. I don't know. But I hope that that's somewhere, that that would be the ideal situation. That would be ideal. All right, guys. Well, teased it enough. I'm gone. Thank you for staying with me for legit 3 hours and more. This is my longest chat I've done so far, I think, and I really appreciate you guys. So take care, and I guess I'll hear from Jade later. Bye.